What's going on, guys? We're live. Let us know if there's an echo or anything like that. We're getting stuff set up, doing big things. Today we're talking about disturbances on cell phones. No, I'm just playing. Today we're talking about political division, and we're Christians. So, how do you deal with that in the church, especially? And if you're not Christian, you can obviously find some value from this too, because we all want to come together, and the goal is to find common ground and be able to reason with one another in society. There's a good quote. I forget where it came from, but you want to be friends with people. You want to have some friends that you disagree with. If everybody's a yes man, then you're probably not really friends, and it's probably a fake friendship, just to be honest with you. So we're going to talk about political division. And guys, this is where faith, family, and funny collide. We here to help you get blessed, confess, finesse, and enjoy the process. Okay? Can I get an amen, y'all?
Amen, bro. Amen.
So the topics we're gonna go through: political division. That's the main topic. Should Christians be involved in politics, or should we just stay out of it? Mind your business. You know what I'm saying? Just stay with the word of God. Separate the church and the state. You know what I'm saying? Does voting make a difference? Should we even do that at all? Because the world is getting worse anyways, no matter what we do. Should we even vote? Is it pointless? Or is there some point to it? We're gonna go over the verse, Romans chapter 13, obey the laws of the land. What does that really mean? Some thoughts on Trump, because he's getting arrested. He talking about possibly running again. Who knows? Is that a good thing? Net positive, net negative? Maybe read some chats. We are going to have a wild card segment this time. How do you talk about politics with each other? And left versus right. And we're going to talk about some laws dealing with churches that people may not know about. So we've got Jason Greenwood in the building.
Hey.
He's not green, but he does bleed green blood. If you know what that means, he got money, yo. He Hulk out. He does have rage, and he got the green. So if you need donations after the podcast, come to Jason Greenwood. I know I am. So keep that in mind. And then we got Michael Benson.
What up?
Do not mention the horror game Christian.
He is that's funny.
He is not a contradiction. He's a holy man of God. Amen. Look, man, we like to have fun here, bro. So
Facts.
I wouldn't have him on the podcast if I had an issue with him. I don't have blasphemers on my podcast. So Jesse got another show and he ain't coming on anymore. So yeah, man, we like to have fun here and reason with one another. And yes, we get passionate because this is some serious stuff we're dealing with, and you got to be able to kind of, in a sense, spar with your friends.
Facts.
So that way when the enemy comes, you're ready to fight if needed. Right? So yes, we are okay with a little sparring as long as we know we're not going overboard, and we have care at the end of the day for each other. So Christians getting involved with politics. I'm just going to read something, talk about something in the New Testament. Philemon, the Roman Empire, it was a dictatorship. They didn't have the right to vote. This was a very serious issue. The goal was to overthrow the Roman Empire. You could argue that was a crazy political movement in the Bible. But let's just talk briefly. Everybody's maybe give a minute or two, whatever you feel. Your thoughts on politics, getting involved in, as Christians, getting involved in politics. You're just kind of brief view of that. So what's your brief view of that, Jason?
Whether we should get personally involved in politics. Well, I mean, technically, if you vote, you're involved in politics. And I know we're talking about public politics, but you can't get around politics, I don't think. There's politics in the church. There's politics at your job. There's politics in family. because that's in politics is power, really. I mean, that's what we're talking about there is power, and so, um, yeah, I mean, I think you need to play a role. I think it's easy to take it for granted in our country because we have freedom to participate or not participate. Some countries you're forced to participate. Some countries you're like you were just saying, you're not allowed to participate at all. It's just, hey, here's a new ruler. So I think they're now your personal level of involvement may differ for varying reasons, but I certainly think that you have a voice and you should be heard. And I think that's what politics allow you to do. So that's just kind of my short take on it. I could go a little further, but
Okay. And Mike, can you can you monitor to make sure? I think
yeah, make sure you hear me.
raise it up just a tad. I'm just looking at the levels here.
Which one?
I think it's the second one.
Right from the top, right here.
Well, let me see. Let me just see this.
Yeah, because it's brand new.
Turn me up.
Yeah, it's gotta be turned up.
Yeah, I'm a soft talker, guys.
Which one? Say it again, Jason.
I'm a soft talker,
Okay.
so it's yeah, it's not the mic, it's me. I promise.
It
It's me.
should be the first one. You see which one's blinking right now? Which channel's blinking, Mike?
Yeah,
Right now as I'm talking. Which one
Yeah.
is that? The second one?
yeah, the second.
Okay, so his is definitely the first one. So if they say, that his is a little lower,
And I mumble too, so I mean, if I need to
No, I get you.
speak
Yeah.
up a little bit, I can do that.
you're coming out with a mixtape, mumble Christian rapper
I
Greenwood.
got that Memphis mumble, is it?
A little green. I'll make a little Instagram story real quick because I forgot. Yo, guys, we're talking about political division. Should Christians be involved in this stuff, man? For real? We talk about it. We got Jason Greenwood in the building, and we got. If it'll switch over, we got Michael Benson in the building as well. Tune in, man. Check us out, man. All right. I got to get ghetto because, you know what I'm saying, some people, you know what I'm saying, gotta reach people. Let me start. All right, guys. Remember, oh, yeah, Mike. So go ahead and let people know, your brief summary of what your view is on how much Christians should get involved in politics. What's your view on that?
I don't know. I say I would say yeah, get involved, but then again, I would say no because it's that politics in itself cause a lot of division in the church. So I would say no for Christians because a lot of I mean, some people might argue the fact that prayer cool, but what about works? You know what I mean? So I'm coming how I feel about when it comes to politics because there's some things we do need to speak on. So that's why I'm saying I'm kind of in the middle. You know what I mean? So that's all I'll say. It can cause division in the church. So I would try to kind of lean away from that.
Okay. So, guys, remember, like the video. All right? That's the best algorithm we can use to keep moving this conversation to the broader Siri. I'm not talking to you. To move this conversation to a broader audience. And also, guys, subscribe if you're feeling it, and hit the bell notification to notify anytime we go live. So, next topic I'm going to get into. Let's see here. Oh, let me give my perspective first before we move on. Now, Christians, I definitely agree with what Jason brought up about there's really no way around it when it comes to getting involved in politics. I would argue that there were a lot of political things going on in the Bible that they had to get involved in. And being political was not just about voting. It's not just about which president you support. There are policies that presidents and other people on certain sides put in place, and you can fight for those policies to benefit people, to help people, to make their lives easier, to make their lives better and closer to what Christ intended. there's just like I guess a spectrum of how far I would say you should get involved. Like I guess my view would be, as far as Christians getting involved, there should be a limit to where you don't go overboard and you don't become, this doesn't become your religion, but it's just the way the world works. And I mean, if you use money, for instance, that's just the way the world works. You can't really get around it. I believe that if someone says we should not get involved in politics at all, then they need to go back to trading and not use, I mean, even that, like they need to find different ways than what society has brought up as means of the way the world works, in order
Yeah.
to in order to get away from politics. Because most people, they get involved in politics and they don't even know it. It's like you're involved anyways because you signed a petition
Mm-hmm.
for this situation to happen, or you got involved in what decisions should we make, at work. And I'll get into, my views on voting a little later. But yeah, I would say that no matter what you do, you can say you shouldn't get involved, but I think the argument would needs to be, how much should we get involved? Should we be at the protests?
Yeah, because I think like when we put in the appropriate context, we all assume politicians are what, liars. They're corrupt to some degree. So the question is, if you're in a particular office, are you likely to become corrupt? Because we can all pretend like we're all above a lot of this kind of stuff, but somebody throws down a dollar amount to make a particular to sway your vote. I mean, what's our price? We like to say, yeah, I don't have a price, but when you got kids to feed, when you got things going on, and somebody throws down $1 million promise, man, I could do a lot with $1 million. And we've seen good men be corrupted in those areas, but that's in that arena. But politics again, nobody's gonna turn down a promotion, their job. You know what I mean? You're gonna keep moving up the ladder, and if you're the CEO of a company that's comparable to a president or another position held where you're exerting that power, and they can be just as easily corruptible. Um, Even local governments, some of those are notoriously more corrupt, or corruption in those areas, because there's less oversight, less public oversight. We hear about the president and the Congress and all that, but do we even know our own commissioners? Our local people that are actually probably affecting us in a more direct way a lot of times. So sometimes it could be an excuse to just, I don't, it feels above my head, and to back away from it and say, well, Jesus don't want us involved anyway. Well, I mean, is it different than working a job? You know what I mean? We work, we pay the bills, and they're all intertwined. So I think it's definitely a good conversation to have. I really do. And I think that I'm not one that comes to people either that's just dismissive of something, like, let's just stay out of it. And I'll pray for the president, I'll pray for him, and
Yeah.
that's good. But you have a voice, you know. It might get washed away, It might not matter in the big overall scheme of things. But I think we need to appreciate the opportunity we have here to express that voice, because other countries don't have that, And you know, uh, it seems kind of weird when you watch a show or a documentary and you say, well, how come they put up with that for so long? And but they were the idea was the alternative is you die, right? You speak up against the government, and you say something. Even to this day in some of these countries, we as Americans can't go over there and go, man, this president sucks. You die. You know what I mean? Like you're in jail. And it's easier for us to sit over here kind of like an armchair quarterback and say, man, those guys need to just rise up and pull together. And well, I mean, who's going to be the first to do it? And Christians for years spent their lives underground. They were persecuted, and didn't have a voice at all. And so which kind of brings to light another question of, we want to be loud and proud about what we believe, and not ashamed of it. So does that mean that if we allow politics, especially this current administration here, to continue to allow the suppression of freedom of speech, which is what's happening, is it not our duty to say, wait a minute, are we being pushed underground? Because let's put it in a real perspective. What's happening now is a true attack on Christianity. This transgender movement is an attack on women's rights, if we want to take it that far. So as Christian women, should we not speak up? I say we.
You're not a Christian woman. See, there you go.
But
Infiltrate the podcast
yeah,
and add that theology in here.
right. So
Get them out. Mike, what a button that, bro.
Yeah,
You're supposed to
edit
be on
that. But so should we not speak up? If this reversed and it was coming our way as Christian men, are we not supposed to say, hey, no, I can't get on board with this. This isn't working. As men, as Christians, we're supposed to be providers for our families, wives, not just wives, children, our moms, our dads. It's our responsibility to make sure they're okay. And if we have the opportunity then to say, wait a minute, I don't agree with this law you're passing because it's going to take food from my kids. So what my job, maybe I can't vote, right? So maybe I have the skill set or knowledge that if I get put in this position, I can make the change.
It's interesting when you brought up the transgender, forced movement. That's just, the stuff getting forced on us. There are so many women that say, hey, you cannot speak about a woman. You don't have the right. You're not a woman, da da da. You can't speak about things that pertain to a woman. And I'm like, do you not see that you're letting a man do it because he's identifying as a woman to do it?
Right.
And it's very easy to get past that if you allow. I'm personally not going to go around and start bashing transgender people because, first of all, that's not saving any souls.
Mm-mm.
So I care less to do that. That's why I say live your life the way you want to, no matter what I feel, right? But, and I'm not gonna make this whole podcast about transgenders because we got other things to talk about. But but I will say that it is obviously, there are obviously so many contradictions in how they're taking this stuff to say that, oh no, you can't speak about a woman, and then they allow a man to speak about a woman just because of some emotional arguments. That's all it took, was just some emotional manipulation for you to allow men to gain the forefront and take over sports, to take over all of these things again. And it's funny, it's men that allow women to vote, that put them in the place to vote, and gave them, say, hey, take your voice, right? Use your voice. And now there are men trying to take their positions and be women. And, it's different to just say that you want to live life this way, but to actually take the position of a woman and to speak for the woman just because of a certain, change. It's wild to me.
It is. I mean, and that's just that particular issue. There's financial issues, education issues, or topics, probably not less issues than topics, and that I think politics definitely play a role in, and of course that's a hot topic there. But what are we teaching our kids? What? Because that's the next generation. That's the perpetuation of our beliefs, right? Train a child in the way it should go.
Right.
So if we're not allowed, to do that and to the fullest extent, who really loses in that, in that. So, and I guess that's why I go, like I can't say I'm outside of my vote running for office or something like that my voice, but I think it's, as I've gotten older, when I was younger, I'd be like, nah, I don't care about politics. Who cares? It doesn't really affect me. But what happens as you get older, you realize that it does affect you. And for me, the biggest impact I've seen is in my pocketbook. It's a money grab. right? And we're gonna work the average American to death so that a particular class of people can not work and remain in power, you know. And even last week I talked about unity. I mean, that's we don't realize the power we have in a unified voice. And so yeah, we'll disagree on some issues here and there, but overall, what's important, right? We focus on those issues, and that's where I think uh, speaking the same language in the Bible talks about that, and not. And I was just reading where Paul was talking about well, Mike's under Apollos and Ashley's under Chloe, and I'm under Peter, and so but there's a unified voice that we have to find and go, wait a minute, guys, this is where we stand. We lock arms and we accomplish something, at that point. And but realizing that they're robbing us, right now we're facing what almost 7% inflation right now. It's crazy, and
they're still printing money, right?
still, well, and how much money are they giving to Ukraine? Did you get to vote on that? No, nobody got to vote on that. They just gave it away. All right, and then it's like, wait, could we not have used several $100 million that they've given? But we're paying for it. That's coming out of your and my pockets. So it's like, and I'm not saying that it's not to aid other countries. That's kind of a hallmark of America, is helping other countries. But at the same time, if a Christian were here, a man of prayer, would we see the same results? I had a discussion with a friend of mine years back about the military, and they argued, well, we don't need a military. So you mean if another country attacked us, we should just be like, well, I rebuke you? Are we not obligated to provide a level of protection for those in our care? And I think that's where, as men, and I mean, not to say that women can't do the same thing, but as men, if we're having this discussion, we need to take some responsibility and say, wait a minute, I've got to provide protection for those in my care. And as Christians, it's too easy to be lazy and say, well, or take a middle road. And I'm okay with a middle road too. There's a middle line. I would take a lot of things, but at some point in our lives, I think we just have to take a stand and go, this is what I believe, and I'm going to stand firm on it. And I don't want to get hung up on this topic, but I'm saying this is one of those topics that it's a little tricky, I think, because
causes division.
It does, and in the same church you'll have 50 Democrats and 50 Republicans and 10 I don't know, or Tea Party still around, that which is a whole nother discussion on the two-party system and how that's changed over the years. And it's easy to badmouth the country. It's easy to look at our history and go, well, we're in the shape we're in because of these things, but there's been a lot of good that has come along in this country. And when comparing to other countries, I mean, I think we're still a pretty great country. I mean, it's, if you're poor in this country, if you're homeless, there are things here that can help you. And I've literally seen people live in shacks their whole life, in some countries. And so I think politics is a very important role. Now, I will say, I can kind of relate to, kind of your position on kind of it depends kind of argument, because it's so like,
kind of want to know what it depends on, as far as what Mike's view is. Like, what would you say? Like, how involved do you think? Like, what things do you think we should do in politics? We can do. Maybe there's some liberty there to be able to not or yes, and then also what we just don't need to do.
I would say, when it comes to this, I would say I will lean more to when it becomes a division, a problem, like prime example, abortions, things. I would say I would speak on them, those things when it don't goes against scripture or it's backing up scripture. Then that's when I speak on those things. But then you got the parts where it causes division. Like you got one side here, one side there, and it's like, that's not what it's about. At least for Christians, I'm not speaking for the world. So that's where my line is.
And that makes sense. It's like it's hard, even especially on a topic like abortion, right? So from a Christian standpoint, it should be an absolute no.
Yeah.
Yep.
But from a country, people have a right to choose how they want to live their
Yeah.
life. And yeah, I may not agree with that, and yeah, we'll say it's murder, this, and that's what makes it tough.
Yeah.
Because it's very divisive. But then that leads to the next question: how has it been presented? Why is why is the topic of abortion anything other than the killing of babies? Because I hear what's the common argument? It's a woman's right to her, but no,
Woman's right. It's not a human. It's what's the other one? There's some more, but I think they get more. Are you gonna take care of the baby when they come out? Like, there's a few of them like that.
and then the biggest one I think is, as men, we don't have a right to tell the woman what to do with her body.
Mhm.
Okay, but do you have a right to tell that baby what to do with their body?
I like that. That's facts.
And then let's talk about this vaccine that came out. But y'all were trying to force this vaccine on us, and that argument of it's my body, my right, went out the door.
I think we can talk about it now
You
without
know.
getting canceled. I think we're in the clear, but if
So-
we're not, I didn't know.
But you see the hypocrisy of that argument there, is like, so on one hand, it's a woman's right to do with her body, but when it comes to vaccines, you just need to take it and just be quiet. You know what I mean? And that's where it gets really hard, because there's some legitimate with something like COVID, right? Something that spreads that easy.
But when you say, like, because I agree with you, but when you say there's another extreme as far as like the vaccine has rat poison in it and you're gonna die in 3 years if you take it, like, then it causes even more confusion. So now it's like we can't even discuss it, because now we try to have a sensible discussion, and then somebody's just, you're killing so many people by not taking it.
Yeah.
And then you're killing so many people by taking it. Like, why would you do that to you? And it's like, yo, this is a serious topic. Let's just talk about it, because we need to come at it with a logical view. Like, come on, guys. Like, I'm not going to put somebody down. I think it's Romans 14 that goes into this, because somebody's weak. You don't despise that person just because they may not have faith that, God will heal their body, and they may feel they need the vaccine. Like, I'm going to have compassion for that person. I'll even, if I go to their house, I will wear a mask around them just to be respectful, not in my own house. You don't expect me to wear a mask in my own house, but around you, if there's somebody that's sick and he just wants you to wear, I'm not going to be the butt that cause an issue like that,
And it's tough. I mean, because I was in people's houses during the pandemic, and so it was, of course you had to wear the mask, it was the height of it. So in and of itself, like, personally, internally, I'm dying on the inside because I got this mask on.
Comments, I'm sorry.
But at the same time, you're right. It's your house, so I'm gonna respect the rules of your house, And but I think from a political standpoint, that's where it gets tricky, because, like I was saying earlier, when your livelihood is on, like, if I'm a career politician, I'm making money, my income is based on this, and something like COVID comes up, that's my life on the line. You know what I mean? Like, forget the spread of the pandemic. If I make a decision and I take a hard stance, I lose half of my constituency. I'm out of a job and never to be heard from again. And so that's where I think the bigger struggle comes in. Is like, can you be a politician and hold to your values 100% of the time? That's where it becomes really questionable to me. Like, on a theoretical level, you should express your voice. If you have the capacity to serve in those positions, by all means do it.
Yeah.
But a reality check to that it's a lot more difficult.
Yeah. That's why I say, like, even with churches, like, smaller churches don't have to worry about as much as bigger churches.
Mm-hmm.
So if you speak against, COVID and, the stab and all that, then when you get a bigger church, you better be consistent, because you talked all that junk and I feel you. I don't want it. Like, I had seizures when I was younger, so they're showing stuff about this stuff could cause seizures, and I'm a little more cautious thinking like that. But at the same time, I just have been raised in a way where God has taken care of my body, and I've just always took it to, like, what am I putting in my body and being healthy.
Right.
So I stray away from like even medicine for a headache. I don't want to
Yeah.
take. I've just always been that way. So
Yeah.
to me, it's nothing to do with am I really worried about what that is gonna do to my body. I'm not like I would just take it like I've taken the flu shot a few
Yeah.
times, and just not even think twice about it. But just I've seen certain things, and for a second, yeah, it put a little fear in me. So
Yeah.
don't be surprised that I'm a little shook up because of what I've seen.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. Because that was I met a guy that was over a hospital's COVID, pretty local, well known hospital here, and we got into a discussion about it, and I said, I have allergies. I developed allergies as I got older. Had taken aspirin all my life, and all of a sudden I've got an allergic reaction to it. I said, can you guarantee me there's no allergic reaction to this vaccine? And of course, his answer was, well, you don't have to worry about all that, but can you guarantee it?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I had taken aspirin all my life, and suddenly I take it one day, and now I'm allergic to it. So here's this brand new vaccination y'all came up with in about a year, and I'm supposed to trust it. So it doesn't get so tricky. But you're right on the bigger your church. If I'm a pastor and I take a stance, am I losing my livelihood here? And it's easy to say that when you're not in that position, but man, when that's all and then it's gone, and then well, trust God, sure, but if you're pastoring a flock of 1,500 people, that's pretty good living there. You're not gonna reset. You're not gonna go apply for a job, right? Like if most of us lose our job here, we're just going down here to the next one, putting in a resume,
Yeah.
And but as a pastor, it becomes tough.
And it's scary when people in your church actually start getting sick because they don't have the
Yeah.
same faith as you, and then
Yeah.
they shut you down because you allowed this to go. I mean, hey, if you've got enough faith for all your 1,500 members to be
Hey.
healed,
Hey, take
then
me
just
on up.
tell me where your church is, man.
Yeah.
But,
Well,
yeah.
the other thing that I think consider is the
Hello, Nakia. I don't know if you know your phone is on.
is what role does social media play in politics?
Mm.
Like let's take we're kind of on the COVID topic, but would we have been as afraid of COVID if not for social media? You know what I mean? Like,
True.
if you take the COVID, and now there've been pandemics in the past where they did some of like the Spanish flu, I think was one, but are our reactions related to social media? Or do our opinions come from our exposure to this constant barrage of what we see in social media? But and that's I'm not bad mouthing social media either, but if you eliminate social media, what's our influence going to come from then? Our local communities probably. So, there and again, we can't get around the politics of it all. It's ingrained in us, and I think the bigger question is how much do we let in? Is our Christianity and how we're discussing and living kind of being tainted by an outside, influence. I talked about woke Christianity last week, and it was kind of, this stuff bleeds into us, and then we react in a particular way that we justify with Scripture. If I'm a politician and I'm holding an office, I can justify my actions with Scripture. But my intention is bad. My intention is off, and I think that I don't know. It's such a difficult topic, because
Yeah.
I don't want to go off a rabbit hole, and we get off topic. But it's so many facets of this that I think
There's a lot of questions people have, and this
It
is
is.
stuff that people think about, but then, they can't, talk about it because it's such a tough thing, and then they don't know how to talk about it.
Yeah.
right.
But I wanted to get, everybody's view on like like specifically like voting? Like, is it a problem? Is it a good thing we need to do it, or does it not really matter? Or, where do you kind of stand on that?
I mean, I think it absolutely matters. Um, but I'm also not of the opinion like if I don't vote, that I don't have a right
I forgot to tell y'all that we got Jair Jackson in the building.
sneaking in the last
Um,
minute.
I meant to announce his arrival before he got here. We got the
Yeah,
seat real hot for him.
you
You know what I
squeeze
mean?
in.
We're ready for him. I don't know why I changed my accent when you stopped by.
Um, but yeah, I think for sure that I think your vote matters, and I think not voting matters too. I think that's is as much of a voice as voting for someone. You know,
It's the man right here. I'm just excited, man. But yeah.
because we know that if we come in, we got a presidential race coming up. We know there's going to be two dominant parties, the Democrat, Republican.
Yeah.
But if neither one of those candidates fit my personal beliefs or morals, why am I obligated to vote for them? And if I choose to stay out of the vote, then that's my right as well. I don't think we should be in the habit of that. I think that voting is kind of, this person aligns with 75% of my morals, and this one lines up with 80. Then maybe I should make that call.
Sorry, these comments is really
Reading
crazy.
So I think your vote matters, and I think we have to always say it's a privilege in this country, because when you go to some of these others, you don't have that privilege. You don't have a voice, and most of us were born. I imagine the audience was born here. We don't know anything else, but coming from, say, communist China or Russia, where I just finished watching that Tetris movie. I can't remember if it was on Amazon or something like that. But about where Tetris came from.
Oh, I heard about that.
And of course it's a movie, but if it's anything close to that, I mean, you're on total lockdown. Like, you're in total surveillance mode all the time, and totally stifled. Yeah, you could be creative, but you don't own anything. It's all state owned, and you might vote, but they'll throw it out, or if you don't vote the right way, we're gonna kill your mom and dad, kind of stuff. And I'm probably stretching it, but
It's like if you don't vote, you're gonna end up with those type of setups.
right.
So then, Mike, what do you think about voting, brother? This might get a little spicy.
Nah, I don't agree with voting. The reason why I don't agree with voting, no, and nothing coming against nobody.
Let me cut you off real quick. Is it a no? I'm just
bring the heat, Mike. Bring the
Nah,
heat.
you good? I'm just playing.
I got you. Nah, cause yeah.
No, but I think we need to dissent. Like, I don't think we need to all agree here.
Yeah. Nah.
Even if you do agree, I think you need to disagree. For the
Just
conversation.
for the yeah. But nah, big troublemaker here. But nah, I don't agree, because none of the disciples did it. Jesus didn't get involved with the voting. Like the scriptures say, all things are lawful, but not all things are expedient. A lot of this stuff is set up to cause division. It's going to cause problems. You see what I'm saying? So, no. Voting, nah, I don't agree. Definitely for Christians, nah.
One comment to that, though.
What's up?
They voted on the last disciple in Acts.
Did they?
They threw them bones down.
So you got a response?
I'm messing with you, Mike,
Circle
but
back.
they really did. But I'm just saying.
Nah, I got to it.
I know. I get what you're saying, though.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. So that's kind of where I stand with the voting. As Christians, our job is to make things plain, and our job is what Paul say. He said, "I come not," and I'm gonna put it. I come not to get to know anybody, but to preach Christ, to know Christ. And I can say the scripture that helps, but I'm just making it plain. So as men of God, I'm gonna rock with what the disciples did, because they are outlined in our examples, and our job, God taught us, and the way they lived their life, it was make things plain, stay out what the world got going on, because a lot of things for Christians like us, we can solve those things even for them if we prayed up.
Jaya, calm down,
You know what I
bruh. He just stating his piece. He getting real angry over here. All right, sorry, Mike. Go ahead and
You're a
finish.
fan over here.
He about to jump over that table. Don't you ever say that. No, I'm just playing. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Mike.
Nah, so that's all it is with me. Real simple. Nah. For Christians, No voting. Leave that to the world. Stay out of that because it's just a mess, man. And like you said, all it do is begin. It's not God doing it, even though God said I come to divide the house, mother against daughter, and all of that. We dividing each other. It's no unity. It's no one accord. It's no Jesus. It's just go. Yeah, it just get hectic. And even like you said, we vote, it get washed out. You know, poor communities. They not getting hurt. All we doing is wasting our time standing in line for them, for their numbers, for them to say, oh, 200 people came out and vote. We making a difference. And at the end of the day, it's vanity because the Bible make it clear. The closer it get to the end time, it's going to wax colder and colder. So, you know, that's why I stand with it.
He said colder and colder. Let's say worse and worse.
Mhm.
But you know
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
cold though
yeah,
out there.
yeah,
So, you
yeah.
know. So it was one question I was going to ask you just to clarify on voting. It's like, would you say that voting,
Is it a sin?
yeah,
To
is
vote?
is it a sin to vote, or is it just pointless? I mean, you could say it's a sin because it's vanity. I don't know. Where you stand, man?
I mean, I could say that, but, you know, it'd be too easy. People maybe want more. Now, at the end of the day, it is vanity. It's not. Let's be honest here. How much voting really benefit us? You, I'm
I
just saying
mean,
how much it really.
I would say right now because we've got different races in this room. It matters a lot. You know what I mean? I mean, I know that may not be strictly biblical, but that's
Yeah.
definitely functional. When we go to a pretty mixed church, I mean, it's
Yep, we
and
do.
you go back 60, 70 years, you can't do that. 80 years. And that's a voting thing there, I mean that's more than that, but I'm
Yeah.
just saying that's
Yeah, 'cause I was about to go there, but yeah, yeah. It is more than that. You know what I mean? And that's what I'm saying. It has certain benefits, but at the end of the day, you know, what should I say? But at the end of the
It's
day,
tough.
you know what I mean? You know, yeah. Due to voting, things have changed. People lost their lives. You know, I'm not disregarding that, but I'm gonna be honest with you. Me down for you, trying to prove a point or the change something, and God not in it. I'm burning in hell. It's vanity. That's where the vanity kick in at. It's like, yo, we get some little more Jesus and start doing some stuff, things would be more effective. I don't care what somebody say or what they trying to bring to the table. Throw some Jesus in there, and then we know as men of God how effective it can be. You know what I mean? Look at Pharaoh, for example.
So if you were running for office, would you want people to vote for you? And I mean, we have scriptural references to where people were in political positions that saved their people. I mean, we got to go to the Old Testament for that. You have Esther,
Okay.
was one. I mean, you could even Rahab wasn't really a political person, but Joseph is the other. You
Mm.
know, Joseph was like vice president, basically, and put on Egyptian garb. I mean, he was so Egyptian, his family didn't recognize him. Granted, they thought he was dead, but but he served God's purpose.
Yeah, I was about to say that's the part where I said you throw Jesus in there because some as we in the world, but we not of the world. So certain things we're gonna be affected by. Certain things we're gonna play a part in.
Yeah.
I'm saying in a sense, put some Jesus in there. Honestly, anybody that's of God is gonna kind of go in a different direction. Because like you say, even speaking on those people, God was in the midst of all of that, and it was
Yeah.
a bigger picture than they position.
So
You
if
see what
your
I'm saying?
pastor ran for office, would you vote for him?
I will vote for him for the sake of I know he's a man after God. You get what I'm saying? That's why I say I can see, but
Mhm.
if he wasn't, just because he a good person or he got good morals, I wouldn't. And that's a lot of times what it is. It's somebody putting up this image a lot of times. Oh, I promise you, I'm gonna help the homeless. I'm gonna help lower the rate of abortions, and then you find out they're not that because most of the time, I'm speaking for God-fearing people. I had nothing to say for the world because the world is the world.
Right.
But for God-fearing people, we put our trust in these people positions and they words. They real good. They words sound good. It's convincing, but the action majority of the time never play out the way they say.
Let me see if
Yeah.
I can clarify. So you would say you would vote if you felt like somebody that could really lead us in, I guess, a salvation type of direction. then you would, but you just don't see that happening.
Because it just left my head. Because I don't want to like contradict myself. Because voting.
That's
like
what I'm trying to make
It
it
don't matter.
clear.
We're talking
Like,
about politics. We can
Yeah,
contradict
yeah.
each
just
So
other
make
it's
it-
all
going,
night
it's going to
long.
do that. Yeah.
just trying to make it clear. Like, you would say that the reason I would say it, just from what I'm getting from you, you don't think it's a good point to vote, is because you would say you don't really think that somebody that's worthy could be in the place of leadership, in that type of leadership, and do it the right way. You don't think that's really that would really happen. So therefore, there's no reason to vote. Would you agree with that statement?
Yeah. And I'm trying to recuperate my thoughts that was in my head.
Because
But
I mean, I feel like, if you read Judges,
uh-huh.
I think all of them kind of messed it up.
Hmm.
And we keep depending on that judge. So in that sense, I feel like you got kind of a, somewhat of a case to make. If we trusted in man for so long to lead us to the right path of life, and through our judges, it never worked out. It's always a problem. So can that even happen? Or we need to find a way to put our faith in God and get rid of this president type setup.
Yeah, that's kind of where I'm going with it, in the sense of, like I said, people have voted and things change. But in the sense of Christians, no, I wouldn't vote. But if I say this, so I'm going to be all over the place. Yeah, like you said, if the pastor doing it, for the sake of, I know something can happen. This is a person being led by God. So the Bible make it clear, kingdom that's divided can't stand. So if the head is normally being led by God, we got a better chance. But at the same time, no, I wouldn't vote, because, and this could be kind of far, if the Bible says it's going to get crazier, right? What's the point of voting? We should be praying that, in the process of things getting worse, people get saved. It's more, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Knowing the power of God is more beneficial if we on our knees crying out to God, travailing in a position for people to be saved. Because sometimes it's better to hand somebody over to the devil than, you know what I mean? And I know y'all familiar with this, we preach this stuff. So, yeah, sometimes it's better. You need to, you need to get handed over, so when all hell break loose, it could draw you closer to God. So that's why I say, yeah, it's cool, if they have God. But
Let me bring Jair. I am Jair, King Jair, into the conversation. I'm not a liar. He only speak the truth, and he ain't afraid to speak the truth. He real blunt. You gotta be careful when you around. You gotta have some thick skin now, cause he gonna tell you about yourself.
He is dumb.
He might have a problem with the way I introduced him.
He'll let you know when
He gonna tell the truth.
Yeah, he will.
But yeah, man, what you think about voting, man? Just you agree with Mike? Is he crazy? Is he making a sense? You know what I'm saying?
Nah, I agree with Mike wholeheartedly. My opinions on voting is similar to Mike. It's like it doesn't promote salvation, and it's just like he said, the world is getting worse and worse, and being deceived and in deception and being deceived. So it's like, who can I really trust? Just like Mike said, the people that may seem like they on your side, when they get in office, are they truly on your side? You see, like, sometimes that the policies that they speak on, they don't commit to it.
Facts.
So it's like,
what are some examples, though?
an example. Jeez. See, I'm not into politics. I'm not into politics, but I hear
'cause-
complaints from other people that vote.
Well, that's what I'm saying. So, like, and I don't know if you were here for that. Are our opinions being influenced by social media, stuff we're hearing, versus what we actually believe? You know what I mean? Like, if
I agree with that.
if we say, like, oh, well, I voted for this politician and he did the exact opposite on this issue, you know what I mean? Then I could see that. But as a general overview, if we're saying, well, voting's not important, well, okay, I mean, I can respect it on one hand because it's your right to not vote,
Yeah,
sure.
of course.
But if the Bible says for us to pray for those that are in rule, how is a vote any different than praying? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But like if you have somebody for sure that says, look, I'm gonna kill all the babies, right? Firstborns, we're gonna kill them all. Sure, we're not gonna vote for that person.
Yeah, of course.
But if they go, well, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna eliminate income taxes. Y'all gonna vote then?
Nah, I would.
Yeah, of course not.
You want to pay income taxes the rest of your life?
Well, you talking about the person who's voting to kill babies too?
No,
And
no.
income
Two
tax?
separate people.
Two separate two
No,
separate people.
I don't know, man. That income tax is a pretty big deal.
Yeah, income
man.
tax. Yeah, it
Like,
is a big. It's
because
a big deal.
I mean, are we responsible? I mean, not to get sidetracked, but like, let's say that happens. I mean, are we responsible for the person that actually goes to the clinic and gets it done? You know what I mean? Like,
I get it, but I'd rather somebody make it harder for them to accomplish that.
Yeah.
But
if we take it that far, I mean, okay,
we might as well vote.
let's take it to the other extreme.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Let's institute. Everybody's got to get baptized in Jesus' name. It's required. Would you vote for that?
no, I wouldn't vote for that because first you got to believe to get baptized. Everybody's just getting baptized.
Okay,
It's a
now
requirement.
first of all, you gotta repent, right? You gotta repent, be baptized in Jesus' name, and you gotta get the Holy Ghost to live in this country. It's forced. You have to do it.
Sounds good to me, bro.
Would you vote for that? You know what I'm saying? And I know I'm taking it to the extreme. I know,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
extreme.
No, it's good.
I
It's
mean,
good.
I would vote for it. I got
would.
other policies too, though. I gotta
Hey man, Jason, you right on it. I was gonna vote for you as soon as you. I said something different about you. You baptized in Jesus' name. Everybody. Let me say this though. I have a good example. Let's break it down basic. I do like the harsh examples.
No, facts.
Hey, make you think. But let's take it simple because this is gonna be just as frustrating. I bet. Watch. So you're at work, you having a good day at work. You know what I mean? You come in the break room. And you looking around, man. This break room is trash. I can't. These seats, I'm so uncomfortable, man. I can't stand this. So then, my check ain't good. I'm not making enough money. So then somebody comes and they give you a paper and they say, hey, you can choose for us to make renovations to the break room, or you can choose to option 2, to raise everybody's pay. Whichever one gets the majority is what we're gonna do. So people that don't vote, I would assume you would crumble that paper up and throw it in the trash. But me,
No, sir.
I'm gonna say, you know what? I'm gonna
And I'm against
vote. I'm gonna vote, put my vote in, and say, you know what? My boss don't even believe in God, but I'm about to cast my vote in and look at him to make them changes that we voted for. Now, when you relate that to politics, is that really that far off?
Yeah,
Yes.
no.
ain't gonna say none of this.
I would say yes because first you only gave me 2 options. Those are easy choices.
Yeah, yeah.
I know what the outcome is
like that
for
move.
both options. For politics, there's so many different policies on international affairs and all these other things. I wouldn't. It's like you almost got to study your politician. It becomes like worship. So it's like you got to know, you got to have so much insight on who you voting for to know, okay, I agree with him. Just like he said, 90%, or 80%, or 70%. It's like I don't even want to risk a 30%. So I'm just going to take my foot out of it.
But I mean,
But I understand what you're saying, but
if
that's a little extreme.
if we're because y'all, one of the things y'all said earlier, the reason not to vote is because it's not nothing to do with salvation. So why not vote? You know what I mean? If it ain't got nothing to do with salvation, who cares? It don't matter. It don't have any effect on you.
I couldn't say that because okay, if why not vote? What if the person have policies that's against Christians?
Yeah.
Or it ain't even got to be just
Right.
against Christians. It could be policies that affect your life or affect other people's lives. It's like I don't think just because I agree with him in certain areas, that don't mean I could just vote for him for the sake of just because it's not a salvation issue.
Yeah.
Politicians still have an effect on our lives. Period. Go ahead.
So, what if it is simple and it's a simple dividing line in your mind and it's like, this guy is, if I was a voting person, I would vote for him. Because sometimes, can it never be that simple? I mean, anybody could be lying, but let's say both people are liars and one person says, I'm not going to take the life of babies, and the other one says, I am. So one of those people, both of those people are, saying, they're going to, let's say both of those people actually do take the life of babies, but one of them saying he's not going to. I would put my eggs in that basket. I think that would make sense because you don't know if they're lying or not. Yeah. But both of them could be like, terrible people and have the same view, but then one person is saying he doesn't have that view, right? And I don't take politicians to be that way. It's just kind of a simple, kind of a philosophical argument. You would have a better chance, I would say, with the person who says he's gonna, do what you want him to do. But I'll just keep it simple. If you have more faith in this guy, like if you're just watching the, politicians like a show, and it's like, man, like that thought don't cross your mind, like, bro, if I voted, I would vote for this guy. If I had to vote, man, easy answer. You know what I'm saying? What do you think about that?
I really want to ask the panel this question.
You need to turn your mic on. Hit a mic. If they can't hear nothing you say.
Funny.
Put it like,
Yeah, the mic on.
So the question I have for you guys is: recently we've seen something we thought would never happen, the overturning of Roe v. Wade.
Lord.
So if you're saying this happened because we finally got a conservative majority, that happened through voting. The transgender and the LGBTQ plus QI whatever, they've taken control because we're not voting. So to say, I mean, I'm 50-50. Sometimes I'm here for the vote. Sometimes I ain't got time. So I'm never going to advocate for something I myself don't do. But what I'm saying is these things are happening and we can put biblical things in place. We can put policies in place that reflect our beliefs, and that happens through voting. I mean, we always focus on the federal level, but when you were saying, oh, they say, we're going to get money for this and money for that. Well, the money is distributed on a federal level, and then local government decides how that gets used. Local governments are corrupt, but we never talk about local governments, which we have more influence and we can change things more on the local level. But we always focus on the president and the senator, when we really need to focus on our commissioners and mayors and things like that, because this is where real change happens. We start there, then we start, moving up till we get to a federal where we can get people in place that reflect our view system. If we just bow out, we're giving it over to them. I mean, we're literally giving it over to them so that our children grow up in a country that literally is attacking Christianity right now. So if we were more involved, I'm not saying it would change something, but we would have a dog in the fight. Now we don't have nothing in the fight. But
I have a very good question, but I want you to speak on it, Jair.
You want me to speak on this?
Or the question I asked you before.
I mean, I could hit both, but I think, what Nakia is talking about is, I think it's a discussion to be had, but I have another view too. It's like we making such an investment on the world, and it's like, it's hard because we supposed to be, looking towards after this, like not this world, but the kingdom of God. So it's like, it's hard because like you have to really. I think the best approach for us will be, as a community, in a Christian community or a church, we can affect the community around us, and eventually we could be a voice to politicians or a voice to speak to politicians, influence politicians that are in power. Because
or be the politician in power,
or be the
You're
you
the
talking
guy, Jair. It's you. I'm just
no.
Well, I think that speaks to only kind of what you guys were saying. Who represents us? Who are our leaders, right? If we start going further back in history, I think we have strong leaders, for whatever movement might be going on, whether it's a president, whether it's civil rights movement, whether it's women's rights, there's powerful leaders. But I don't think we've had those for some time now. You know what I mean? Like, is there anybody that we can kind of come up with that's leading the charge on certain fronts? Who's standing up for Christianity? At one time there were these pastors, what's his name? Billy Graham was always, in the president's ear. MLK was a pastor, so it's like, kind of to Nakia's point and what you guys are kind of really trying to say is, there's nobody worth us voting for. you know, and
That's true.
so but does that excuse us from stepping up and saying, this is my ministry, right? You're talking about community on a church level, but why not elevate it? You know, when we were broadcasting on the internet right now, so that's a certain level of elevation there that we're talking
Yeah.
about.
Yeah.
So, I mean, should we shirk that responsibility? Because I'd make the argument here that, I mean, you guys probably spend more time working than you do with your family, than you do with church.
Yeah.
You know,
No
So-
comment.
I would
and-
say yeah.
No comment.
but you know what I'm saying. But to that point, why do you have to work so long and so hard? Is because there are things in place. If you didn't have to pay probably 25% of your income or more in taxes, you might not have to work 40 hours a week. If you didn't have to pay it both making the money and spending the money, because that's where they tax us, all right? They tax you when you get it, and they tax it when you
spend it.
Yeah.
Yep.
spend it.
Depending
So
on where you live, yeah.
yeah. So then imagine if you had, and I'm not saying there's got to be taxes, okay? So I'm
Yeah,
not saying that,
I
but
get you.
but does it need to be 50-60% of our income? You know, and so as a politician, I'm not saying this is possible, but it puts you in positions to influence. Paul said, "I'm gonna take this thing all the way to Caesar," and it got him killed. Right? He took. I mean, that was scripture stuff,
Yeah.
but he wasn't afraid to go there. So, but that doesn't mean along the way he wasn't turning some of them into Christians. So
All right,
I mean,
all right.
so
It's time
and
to witness the politicians then.
well, that's it. Like, let's say if I run for office and I get elected, and I have my core, beliefs,
Mm-hmm.
then is that not an influence to a broader community? You know, how far are we taking this thing? Can we take it to the moon? Minister to aliens or something? I don't know.
All right. I say this. Reason why, yeah, I agree with you. We don't have somebody we can think of right now that could be on the front line with that. But then it fall back like Money said. It's one of those, how I put it. Before I got right with God, I was a gang member, right? So this was the goal. You get the neighborhood.
Them sound effects, Mark.
You funny, Keith.
Ching.
If I said this, the rule was this: how do we get in power? We get the schools that's near the neighborhood. You get the schools, you get the neighborhood.
Mm-hmm.
So I kind of agree with what Money was saying in the sense. Oh, I agree with all of it, but I agree with Money in the sense of, I don't necessarily feel like we have to be on the front line. We just got to play our position as Christians, because the Bible tells us we're not fighting against flesh and blood, but wickedness in high places. So we're dealing with kings and these type of authority people on this earth, and it's like we can fight against them with their tactics. We can try the worldly aspect, and I'm not acting like because I'm Christian we can't do that, because I agree with you. We had somebody to represent, cool, but we don't. So I feel like our best bet is to play our position ministry wise. I'm like, look, the Bible say the wicked was wise. They move a certain way. Let's take their tactics. You know what I mean? Christians, the kings, they speaking from they throne. We can hit the locals, preaching the gospel, make our church known, that people know we preaching the truth, we preaching Jesus. Things that's way more effective. It could come off slow at times, like, yo, we only hitting 200 people a month, but we doing something. And it's like, I feel like that's more effective than we taking somebody that possibly to try to be on the front line, then they get tainted. Because that's what happened a lot of times too. They start out with Jesus. Now I can name names that's on social media. They start out so-called with Jesus. They at the beginning they on fire, they going hard, but then something happened. Like God said, who hindered you? Yeah, money. You right, money.
Yeah.
Money.
Yeah.
You feel me? Things start happening. I think the Bible say money answer all things, right?
Mhm.
In the Bible. So it's like,
Yep.
that's where it get tricky. But yeah.
I'm gonna say this. This is one question I'm gonna ask everybody. I think it's a tough one, but hey, y'all might prove me wrong. Would the world be better if Christians stop voting?
Yo, money.
He swung that mic over.
to catch the mic.
It's on us.
First, it depends on who you consider Christian, but
So-called Christians.
No, not,
Go there too.
let's be specific. Christians, as you know a Christian to be,
Yeah.
stop voting altogether.
Christians, like the Bible say, to be a Christian is like Christ, to follow Christ.
Whatever
and stuff.
your definition of Christian is, that Christian. Yep.
I would say people that love and follow Jesus in any type of way.
Well, I'm trying to. There's no outs here, right? So, I don't want a
Yeah.
ambiguous answer, right? Let's call it like we see it.
okay. I don't think anything would change. I don't think anything would change because I believe that Satan is I know that Satan is the ruler of this world. So
Facts.
I don't think it's much of I I only think we can affect the community level based on the people around us and who we interact with.
Mm-hmm.
And we can go to the kings of the earth and speak to them just
Yeah.
like they did in the Bible.
Yeah.
But I don't think us voting is going to really make much of a difference.
So, what kings have y'all gone to and had conversations
We ain't
with?
go to no kings, yeah.
Exactly. That's my point.
I say it's levels. It's
I'm still
it's
not
levels.
going to no king if I vote.
You
Yeah,
said what?
you are actually.
I'm going to the king if I vote.
You are telling the people in power, this is what I stand for.
I mean,
But it's still who am I voting for at the same
Yeah.
time, because
You know that you can literally write anybody down on the ballot, right? If you want to put Jesus on the ballot, that's your vote. That's your voice.
I don't want
what's the
Christians.
success rate on that though?
Does
Yeah,
it
I'm about
matter?
to-
That's not what y'all are saying. Y'all are
You
saying
talking about just voting, period?
I'm expressing my voice, and I'm
Yeah, but you and everybody that agrees with you, silence. No
Let's-
vote anymore.
Let's say we have half of the United States of Christians, legit Christians. If we vote Jesus on the ballot, I mean, we probably be successful because we take up half of it.
and then what happens? Let's say we elect Jesus, right? He wins by one vote.
Mhm.
Where are we at then? Is he coming back like that? Dude, is that how we get him here?
I get you.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, and all I'm saying is like, right, we want everything to be this perfect picture, right? We want it to be picture framed, and this is exactly how it is. But that's just not life. You know what I'm saying? We live our daily lives kind of in a messy way. We don't live it. Oh, let's see. How am I going to live today? Scripture says to do this, this, and this, and this is how I'm going to. We don't do that. We just we go about our day.
Yeah, of course.
So nothing is this perfect thing. Well, he don't. I don't agree with him. I agree with him on 9 out of 10 things, but this one thing I can't vote for him now. He believes Trinity, so I can't vote for him. But everything else I agree with because somebody had to repeal Roe versus Wade, so they voted to enact it initially, and then they voted to repeal it. So something happened and something changed. Now that you could chalk it up to prayer. You can say, well, we prayed these people in, but that's what I'm getting at. If nobody's gonna be perfect out there, because you're right, it's a worldly
Tainted world.
environment, but it's the one we live in. So it doesn't mean it doesn't affect us. If we're talking, because you're talking about local community, but we can always be doing that better. What makes our life better? What makes their lives better? Because sometimes, making somebody's life, getting them saved means solving a particular natural problem.
Yeah, I get you. I get you.
So if we can help with that, then that's one step closer. Because at the end of it, guys, this is what we got. Yes, salvation is important, but there are people not going to make it. And is it not our responsibility to at least kind of give them the best that we can, have the best life for them? You know what I'm saying?
I get you.
So because Paul even said if this ain't real, if Jesus ain't right, then if this is all we have in this life is earthly things, then we're men most miserable. So, if we can offer programs and good times and things to help people just get through one more day, because a lot of times that's all it takes, just one more day. Because imagine if somebody's just contemplating suicide, and we are doing some kind of celebration because we can, or this podcast, and it just gives them one extra day, and then that day, then they hear another scripture that gets them one more day. You know what I mean? And because what I'm talking about is just a more, we're talking about on a political level, getting rid of corrupt people. It's a fight, and it is a spiritual battle, but ministry is nasty and dirty sometimes, and it's not always clean and clear cut, and we want to give people that space, I think, and that's what politics allows us to do. Like you're saying earlier, there's levels to it for sure,
So, guys, there's a lot of y'all in here. Please like the video. Get that algorithm up. Let's keep it going. If you want to get on the show, obviously, you see, well, it's on another screen. Also, guys, consider subscribing if you're feeling it. And, all right, I'll just make sure my buttons were working. All right, go back to the main. So, guys, you see it on the screen. It was over there. Yeah, by Jason. If you go there to the Instagram, you can hit me up if you want to be on the live. We can have a discussion. We're gonna get into some chats, then we're gonna react to this video on Trump, Donald, not Donald Duck, Donald Trump. We're gonna react to it, but we're gonna get into some comments. So yeah, we Microphone, brother. You can mute ours. So let's let that go. Oh no, never mind. You can leave
Mute
it on.
Jair's. Oh, there's Mike.
Matter of fact, you got ours is low. That's why. Okay, never mind. It's cool.
Hopefully, everybody hearing me all right?
And don't forget about that soundboard, brother.
Yeah, got you. My guy got to get used to this part.
Yeah, get used to it real quick. Okay. Hmm? That's the same table, bro.
Okay, so from the comment section, had a lot of comments where people were deciding if they vote or not. So a lot of people were 50-50.
Compromise more. Son of God.
Jesse Haynes said, I did vote once, but I stopped because they put on and never do what they say for real.
Facts.
A comment from me, that's because we focus on the national level when we really need to focus more on the local level.
True. Say that.
Just like a politician, right?
Alexa Benson agreed that voting is not a sin.
You're going to be blessed, Alexa. We'll say that.
And she said, regardless if she votes, she going to be blessed anyway.
Now, Alexa, you got to take your blessing away now.
That's a little pride.
I'm just playing.
I asked the question, how can we be the lenders and not the borrowers if we never take positions of power? If y'all want to speak to that, that's
Well, I mean,
That's what y'all answer.
it's really what you guys are saying, right? Like, because you said you would vote for the pastor. All right. So if you ran, would you vote for him if he ran? Would you vote for him if he ran? So what it's saying, I think the consensus is, because we're kind of on the fence, back to that leadership thing. As Christians, should we not assume leadership roles? You know, as a ministry, and I'm talking in a ministerial capacity. Yeah, you got to do the job, but I mean, that's really what some of these guys get here, and they'll start these programs. Whether they're effective or not effective.
Yeah.
I mean, if you are, a believer, a Christian, are we sitting on our hands? Is that what this is really about?
I'll get you.
Carly asked, who created voting? Where does all of this originate from?
The Bible.
Woo!
Can you elaborate on that?
Here we
The
go.
disciples voted on Matthias in Acts.
Did they vote on Saul?
They voted on Saul, King Saul. Yeah,
I would say politics started from the Bible. I mean, everything is political. Even
it
sports.
probably did. Not I won't say it originated there, but it's I mean,
Just think about the judges and stuff.
our version of it in this country would come from probably Greece. Originally. If you're doing a historical look, I think Greece, you had your Senate. I think that's kind of where it stems from. I'm not saying that's where the founding fathers drew it from, but I mean that's, from what I know, one of the origins
Of democracy?
of voting.
Of just voting, period.
Yeah, it might go further back, but
I do have a...
Oh, I didn't know if you wanted to speak to that.
Yeah, I got you. But I'm not saying nothing right
Okay. So, Brittany Alexis, Mike is right. In a way, because God didn't want us to have a king or / president.
She just agreed with you, bro.
He wanted to be that for us, but we asked for it, so he gave it to us.
Well,
Every king has failed.
I mean, a little yes, a little no on that. She's referencing Saul, and that's true in that aspect. But I didn't get to vote. I was born in this country, right? This is what I got to deal with. So that's again back to the reality. If I'm born in communist China, we wouldn't have this discussion. We'd have a different underground discussion that wouldn't be on a podcast. So again, back to this is a privilege. It's a privilege to have this conversation with everybody here and everybody online, and it's a privilege to vote or not vote. To have that decision is a privilege.
Yeah, what's the basis of voting? If you take away yes, there's lies and there's stuff, but isn't politics in every single aspect of life? I mean, I brought up the example about the jobs, but I've made it simple. There's other aspects of the job that you have to vote, like who's gonna be the boss. We're not gonna get stuff done, but he's laxed and he lets us do what we want. But then at the same time, eventually our pay is gonna go down because we're not gonna be making production. And there's other ups and downs aspects as far as like everything, even in the church, there is a political aspect to it. So I feel like the question can't just be voting yes or no. I think it has to be in what context does it actually cause a change that benefits you. Just to put it on a yes or no switch, it has to be some type of spectrum as far as voting. Like I feel like that's the only way it makes sense. That's just how I look at it. But.
See, I say that's why I said at the beginning. I mean, only using your scenario pertaining to pastor, and there's no other scenario, I'll vote. But overall, yeah, I don't agree with voting. So I get you. In the Bible, it was decisions made, but at the same time, none of the disciples. I ain't never heard Jesus involve himself in that. So I gotta stand with the word, and that's why I'm saying no. Even with the job thing he came up with, me personally, that's a little different because, for one, I ain't making no promises to nobody. I'm not as me making a decision for better pay. The Bible say render unto Caesar what Caesar. So I'm on the clock. Yeah, I want more pay. Like you said, I need to take care of my family. So I wouldn't look at that voting in a sense dealing with the government. Because again, that's two different things because that's not gonna cause no division in a sense. Versus the government, that whole thing is fraud. It's all sabotage from the beginning. If you want to use the Bible as a reference, you want to use the world, anything. It's all sabotage. There's no good in it. It's a divided kingdom. Even like they what one nation under God, this nation. You're right. I didn't pick to come in, but this nation is not under one nation under God. We're not even on one accord. So dealing with those type of things, we always gonna be divided. Somebody gonna feel obligated to this or that. You feel me? So that's why I stand with the voting no. I only said yeah in a sense based off the scenario you gave me. But even with that, I still stand no.
All right, let me say this real quick. After this chat, I'm gonna open it up on Instagram and we're gonna have a conversation. That way you can, call in, and we can talk about it there. So yeah, it's right there, the Ashley Key. I'll keep pointing in the wrong direction. Sorry guys. So yeah, what was you gonna say? After this, after he responds, we're gonna read through some of the comments, and then we're just gonna read through them without responding to them. She's gonna read through a certain amount, and then when she's done, then we're gonna go back to the conversation.
Before you, Jair, your wife is in the chat, and she said, "I know you see me calling."
Handle that, please.
Politics at its best.
Yeah. Put your foot down, money.
I love you, baby.
You the head of the house.
Shout out.
Let everybody on live know how you do it.
Show us, money.
Be a man about it.
Oh
Let's see how
my
you gonna
goodness.
handle this.
I want to stick to politics. Let me just stick to politics.
Money, though.
I wanted to you stupid. I just wanted to add on to what Mike said. I think if you vote, right, you have to accept all the evil that person does and the good. So it's like I can't really put my trust in man because like I don't know what evil he's capable of in the position he'll be put in to exercise that evil. So it's like there's no man good.
None.
There's no good. So it's like I can't choose somebody who has the potential to do evil, and everybody has the potential to do evil.
But God.
But you give them your money.
I mean, I have no choice in that.
Yeah,
But you do if you vote, right?
No, yeah, but it's not. To me, it's not just about the money aspect of my pockets. It's just like, okay, when is it considered bidding him Godspeed?
Facts.
But the Bible says, "Render unto Caesar what's due, tribute unto."
I'm gonna pay Caesar taxes.
Yeah.
But that's what I'm
He gonna
saying.
take his taxes.
But that money represents your time. You spent time making that money when you could have spent time doing a work for the kingdom, work for God. You know what I mean? So
I get that.
How can they not overlap a little bit?
I get the aspect, but it's like, okay, so I choose somebody who helps me more financially. But what if he out there just starting wars? It's like, I just like, okay, it profited my life, but it doesn't profit everybody's life. And there's no man that profits everybody's life. There's nobody that's gonna be beneficial to everybody. Well, we Christians, so I still don't think there's nobody gonna be beneficial to us as Christians.
And it get tricky when it comes to like money and those things you start gaining. Because what do the Bible say? He said, "Don't mistake godliness for gain." Oh, maybe twisted that a little bit, but I did.
You right.
Oh, I'm right. All right. Yeah. He was playing. Don't mistake gain for godliness.
You right. But I know what you right. But I knew what you meant, Mike. I knew what you meant.
Appreciate the money. But nah. So it's like, is it like with that, whatever, not, we got to lean more towards God, because it get tricky when you start dealing with the worldly gain benefits, these tangible things, because be honest with you, when it comes to the world, most of the stuff that consists of the world and humans, it ends up being tangible. It ends up being a selfish thing. Even when you gaining or it's working for you, it's a selfish thing,
It can be selfish.
It can be selfish. More 9 out of 10 been lean to the selfish aspect.
But that's what I'm saying. It goes back to 40 hours a week.
I mean,
we devote how much time to making money, to making a living.
I get you, but I say we need to take that with God, because God set it up. I'm just saying, because God set it up. He said man got to work. He said these things.
He made us vessels though, so what do we do?
He ain't say we gotta work 40 hours.
Nah, I ain't say.
He said 6 days a week.
I'm gonna be honest. Do God not order our steps? A righteous man's steps order. All right, God,
God gave me 2 days.
You see, I need to preach the gospel, Lord. You see, I need to do more for you. Oh, it ain't working. All right. I mean, it's on God time. I'm just, be careful what I say. It's on God time. So, all right. You see what I'm saying?
But that's what I'm saying. They're all intertwined. Like I know I'm focused on the finance part, but if you can vote to say reduce tax, reduce fee, reduce spending, period, in government or in local governments, right? Because there's local taxes, right? Mm-hmm. So that puts more money in your pocket to then give to the church, then to work your own ministry. So and then maybe you can work part time.
All right.
So, I feel like if you can feel feel the effects of it,
take it then.
I feel like if you can feel the effects of it, then you're gonna be like, bro. I wasn't even into, and I didn't even care too much about voting until all this the stabs was going around, and man, I gotta say the certain jabs. So,
okay,
he said it that way. They call them stabs. That's another word. Jab, stabs.
Stab, jab.
Yeah. Nah.
But when that was going around, and there was talks about and the way that we had to carry ourselves, I was like, oh my gosh, we can't even. I'm getting upset, bro. Getting upset. I gotta let somebody know. I put it on a piece of paper, and I put it in electronically that I was upset, and I let the people know. I said I don't like that, but. Were there any other juicy comments that we needed to get into? Because I wanted you to just read the good ones and
the juicy ones.
Okay, because I wanted to get to the video on
Nobody can do it like me. Nobody can do it like me. Honestly.
Nobody's stronger than me.
Nobody has better toys than I do.
There's nobody bigger or better at the military than I am.
Nobody loves the Bible more than I do. Nobody builds walls better than me. Nobody's better to people with disabilities than me. Nobody's fighting for the veterans like I'm fighting for the veterans.
There's nobody that's done so much for equality as I have.
There's nobody more pro-Israel than I am. There's nobody more conservative than me.
There is nobody that respects women more than I do. Nobody would be tougher on ISIS than Donald Trump.
There's nobody's ever had crowds like Trump has had.
There's nobody that understands the horror of nuclear better than me. And nobody even understands it but me. It's called devaluation. The sale of the uranium that nobody knows what it means. I know what it means.
Nobody knows more about trade than me.
Nobody knows the game better than I do.
Nobody's in the history of this country has ever known so much about infrastructure as Donald Trump. I know the H-1B. I know the H-2B. Nobody knows it better than me.
Nobody knows politicians better than I do.
Nobody knows more about taxes than I do.
Nobody knows more about debt than I do. Nobody knows the system better than me, which is why I alone can fix it.
All right, so I just saw that video. I thought that was hilarious. The guy, hopefully everybody can hear it. 'Cause, I'm trying to get the audio right. I thought that joke was funny. What'd you think about Donald Duck, man? Donald Trump, I mean.
I gotta go first.
Yep.
Or the video,
I don't know. I ain't gonna lie. It's kind of hard to trust somebody who speaks like that, because you don't know if they lying or not, or somebody that's that boastful and that prideful.
Nobody knows about liars better than.
Yeah, but I think what does the scripture say? What comes after pride?
Destruction,
right? So it's a little scary right there, just to hear that.
Jair is not a liar. Speaking the truth. All right, Mike, I know you got a lot to say. You're gonna mess everybody up, bro.
Nah. Honestly, I don't have an issue with Trump for the most part. I like him way better than Biden, way better than
Yeah, I agree with that.
Exactly.
Obama.
Than,
yeah, right. Yeah. I like him way better than.
I got a good question after this.
Yeah, I rock with my boy Trump. I wear the Trump hat. Now, again,
Not all the way though. I hope not. All the way.
no, not all the way. It's gonna have a little culture to it. Let me stop being dumb. But nah,
Back to my that much all the way.
I know I'm messing around. I'm joking. But on a serious note, no, I don't have an issue with Trump. I'd rather put up with Trump than the rest of these clowns. So that's where I'll leave it at.
If you were forced to vote, and they said, "Hey, you could," well, never mind. You take the lesser of two evils. I was gonna say if it was a law that every single person had to vote, would that junk be crazy?
I'll be locked up.
Can you still vote other? Or just you
Yeah,
had you still had to vote for the
Talking
two?
about N/A.
Yeah. Not available?
Not available. I don't know. You
So if I have only two choices between Trump and whoever else, let's say Biden.
I'm picking.
That's what you
I'm
asking?
picking destruction. Pride that leads
Well, I
to
mean,
destruction.
But according to
Would've
y'all's
picked them too.
argument earlier, it shouldn't matter, right? It doesn't matter who y'all vote for because
They gonna make a difference.
it don't make a difference.
Oh no.
So any, mini, money, mo, right?
So I don't sound crazy. I say I rock with Trump. I mean, I don't have an issue when he better than the rest of them, but I never vote. I think maybe the school forced me to vote once, but I don't vote.
Why is
I don't,
that funny?
Because he forced me.
So
took
wait,
my free will away.
So you didn't vote before you got in church either?
Nah.
So then how are you making the same argument?
No,
in
no,
and
no,
out of
no,
church?
no. I
You
seen
didn't
a-
change your point of view when you got in church. You're just justifying it.
I
No.
voted before church. I regretted it.
Yeah, this what I'm saying. This the thing. You know what's funny? I already seen the foolishness a mile away. I already seen like it's just a lot now. I got more understanding when I got tuned in with the word and I start learning what's vanity, what's unnecessary versus what's important, you know. But nah, I'm not a fan.
Yeah. Taiwan put in the comments that he wouldn't vote for pastor either.
Oh, I feel him.
So y'all gotta work
He
that
wouldn't.
out.
He wouldn't vote.
Yeah, he wouldn't vote.
He's
for him.
not voting for anybody. It's pointless. You know what I mean? So if pastor's the president of the United States, he ain't finna solve nothing else. I don't know. Nothing's finna change.
So y'all don't trust that our pastor wouldn't serve as president, and then his prayer and prophecy would have no effect on the country.
He probably put the
So you're saying he's
Bibles- I don't know.
ineffective? So you're really saying he's ineffective as a pastor? That's what I'm hearing.
Nah,
I
That's
just
what I'm
feel,
hearing.
I just
Okay,
feel like he
okay.
would never
I'm
be
hearing
in the
it, guys.
position of a pastor.
I'm gonna let him know.
But as far as him,
I like that. I like that.
you go.
I like that.
You gonna tell him this week?
I am Pastor Chris. This is what they said about you. You are ineffective.
What is his policies on international affairs? I don't know.
Facts.
That's good right there.
That's facts.
All right, I'm gonna get into some wild card questions. All right, I don't know if y'all ready for this. Here we go. Number one, we got 10 questions, right? We'll try to. They shouldn't be like completely like let's talk about it for 15 minutes type questions. This should be real simple. The president needs you for a special project. What expertise did they come to you for? We got some people that can't help the president, apparently.
He gonna come to me for prayer.
I'm gonna sing the national anthem.
Prayer.
That's all I'm gonna do.
Mike said for prayer.
I'm cool with being on the front line. I like the aggressiveness, either with words or physical. I like it. So
Probably should run for office.
nah, cause I think that people end up stoning me because I could be a little too hard because it's like I'm rocking with God, so I'm not just gonna accept anything. So I don't think I'll be dead first month within a month.
Okay, what's the question again?
What would you? Well, the president needs you for a special project. What expertise did they come to you for?
I mean, we could talk biblical doctrine. I mean, I don't have any other expertise in like.
That's all you know is the
Yeah, just we could just talk about the Bible because that's what matters if I'm in politics, right? I wouldn't.
I mean,
might need you
if he's got,
He probably know more about business than I do. He probably know about a lot more stuff than I do. So I wouldn't.
yeah, but they're coming to you for your expertise.
But my expertise.
Yeah,
It's a pretend question.
right.
He should be
Oh,
helping you.
so I could just come up with a random expertise.
He the president. He should be helping you.
He should be helping
Why
me.
you helping him?
Yeah,
Right.
That's what I'm trying to figure out.
Why technology?
Mm.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's just computer.
Well, she know my expertise is.
No, Jason got an answer.
I mean, if they're coming to me, I would say it would be more of
Just let him run for president, man.
you
Christian
know.
Ben Shapiro here.
it'd be an objective point of view on it. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
like, there's two sides to it. Like, okay, here's side A, here's side B. What's the pros and cons to each, approach to whatever. I may not agree with point A or B, but the point is, here it is.
All right.
Voice of reason.
Yeah, that's a good term for it. Yeah.
All right. Number 2, who is the most famous person you've ever met? I think I had to say
In person or in my head?
I might be-
Right.
I think the most famous person I ever met was Lil Wayne.
You talking about like handshake or just seen him?
I ain't shake his hand. He looked like he was upset or something. So I was like, I don't even want to mess with you, bro. So I just stayed away.
Well, I seen his boss, baby.
His boss?
Yeah.
Oh well, you beat me.
I seen baby. I seen a couple. I seen a couple celebrities.
Facts.
Yeah, I met a couple. I ain't about to go down the list.
Oh yeah, you want to talk about that or no?
No, I'm straight. I'm past. I ain't gonna talk about it.
Cause we'll talk about it now. Cause I know who you.
Not up in here!
Buddy.
Yeah, we ain't gonna talk about no soda and chicken noodle soup. Okay, Jason.
Oh man, that is funny.
Most famous person I've ever met is I met a pro wrestler, Jerry Lawler, out of Memphis when I was a kid. I think it's about the most famous. Unless I met somebody like at work that I didn't, it didn't. I've met some pro football players, but I mean, I can't tell you. There was they're not coming to me. I met one who used to play for the Falcons. I can't think of his name now, but big old dude. Didn't live in. You think they live in mansions, but this was like a normal house. I was like, yeah, that name sounds familiar. I looked him up, and he played for the Falcons. So, but as far as like an interaction, Lawler's the one I remember. And,
You interacting with
yeah.
Do you ever met anybody famous, Mike?
I don't count work, right? Like, this is your door here. Yeah.
No, yeah, I met.
We met Michael Todd. No, just playing.
No.
Just not go there.
No.
Nah, he wasn't there. We met his boss, Tim Ross.
Tim Roast the
That clown. But be another clown.
Like,
But,
you meet a bunch of clowns, don't you?
yeah, I'm telling you, man, I can spot him
Which
from a mile away.
clown did I meet?
Hey, Money, what I always say? Clowns don't wear makeup no more. There's a lot of clowns out here, dog. But nah, I met Coolio, whatever his name is.
He must not be that famous because you don't even know how to say his name.
Coolio, like
The old rapper.
the one that just passed away.
Coolio. Yeah, the one that just passed
Yeah.
away. He was
Coolio.
mad at me too because I said his name wrong. He looked at me.
Wow.
everybody name wrong.
You're right.
You called him Julio?
Yeah,
Yeah,
and he got
interact
mad at
with
me in the
somebody.
airport.
Yeah, I'd get mad
Y'all
at
put in the comments too, famous
didn't
people
know,
y'all
like-
met.
you. Knew enough that
His face seemed familiar. I was like, yo, my uncle and sisters listen to. Yeah, Julio. And he got heated.
I used to listen to you. I'm saved now, but in my past,
I interacted with
oh yeah, I did.
Oh yeah, that's dope.
Yeah.
Football player, like I say, yeah.
if you could, Mike, I guess it's just for me and you, buddy. If you could marry a fictional character, who would it be?
Oh, I'm married to God. Like,
You can marry a fictional
If you could marry, I don't know who I decided who I was thinking about putting on this podcast beforehand, but if you could marry a fictional character, who would it be?
hold on, brother Jason and Money can answer that.
The kid.
Fictional.
I can't.
No,
Nah. Just no, I didn't put none of them in
It's
there.
fictional. Come on.
They got that. See,
No.
Mike try to get people in trouble.
Y'all gonna be mad when y'all get home.
I have no idea.
break
I
up
never
all
thought
the
about this.
Chill, buddy, chill.
I'm trying to think of some modest fictional character.
What's your Christian answer, Ashley? What's your real answer, and then your Christian
can't
answer?
Yeah,
I
fact.
can't think. No, because marriage is modesty. So yeah, I don't have an answer. We're gonna skip that question because Mike ain't got no answer.
Now I rock with WandaVision. She could put me in a little bubble, and we could be away from the whole world. Like I rock with Wanda.
You mean Scarlett
WandaVision.
Johansson?
Scarlet, there we go.
Well, you did say fictional, so
Yeah,
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 you're right. You're right.
That's
Yeah,
fic-
I don't know why I'm
If-
thinking
I'm
about
about to say
cartoons.
Black Widow.
I don't know what's
yeah,
wrong with
yeah,
me.
you're right.
Yeah, no, Wanda.
Yeah,
I
that's
rock
why I
with
said
Wanda.
Scarlett Johansson. That's not her at all. Is it?
Completely.
Olsen.
Yeah,
What's
the
her name?
Austin twins.
Yeah,
Full House sisters. Yeah,
Olsen twins.
yeah.
for their sister. Yeah.
All right. Describe your sense of humor in one word. I don't know, bro. Yeah. There you go. All right,
Yo, that is funny.
You grabbed the mic like yeah, something.
Yeah, I don't know if I can put it.
Nah,
in words.
come on, money. Put it in words.
I'm gonna say rough. I don't know.
All right, that's a good word.
It can hurt sometimes, but yeah.
A few more words.
Okay. Yeah.
Mine would be sarcastic for sure.
Yeah. Mike, if you don't know the word, we all know what word to use for your sense of humor.
What word, money? I mean, Keaton.
Outlandish,
That's a good one.
abstract. I don't know. I mean, so many words we could use.
What do you think, Mike?
I just go with human, man.
That's the.
I know.
You
I
see
know
what I'm saying?
I'm just gonna go with
So
human.
well,
You
so
see what I'm saying?
favorite comedy movie ever? Like if you had a comedy movie, what would?
Y'all not gonna
that-
judge me, right?
Man, if you give me some Bible Jesus answer,
No, I'm not gonna be
I want
all
real.
Yeah.
The one that made you laugh, and you're like, yeah,
Who
that's
ki-
me.
They killed Killer B. Y'all know what movie that is?
Mm.
Have bait. Have bait.
You got a movie?
Oh, it's half baked.
A movie.
Okay.
I'm about to say you got it. You
Yeah,
got
yeah,
it.
you're going way back.
Yeah.
My favorite comedy? My favorite comedy? Oh, gosh. I know it's not Liar Liar. It just pop in my head. It's not my favorite comedy. So don't. But it just keeps popping in my head and it won't leave. I can't think of another movie that's actually funnier. I don't know, man. I be wanting to say Friday. Then I be wanting to say I can't think, bro. What's wrong with me? I gotta come back to y'all, man. I gotta come back to y'all.
Oh, money.
My favorite movie, Life.
Life.
Yeah, I love that movie. Yeah, that's
That's
my
a
It's
good one.
I'm the
alright.
bad bit. That's my favorite.
Whoa, whoa.
part.
What you say?
Whoa, whoa, whoa.
See, like,
Yo, you can't say that language is
you
going
gotta
ahead.
hit the profanity button,
Yeah,
bro.
yeah, you're right. You're right. You're right. You're right.
Hit the button, bro. Hit the button.
You said which one?
So they know.
Which one?
It's the one that.
Watch
looks
your
like cuss words.
profanity.
Yeah.
There you go.
There you
Which
go.
that one that you were talking about, I'll never forget. I was the promos and trailers, right?
Yeah.
So you know the part where that dude's coming out of the store and is talking to the horse. That's the way I end up watching that movie, but they bleeped it out, right? The trailer, it's because she comes up to him and she bleeps it out. It was so much more funny when they bleeped it than when they didn't bleep it.
I gotta go see if I can find it. No, Have Bait.
Have Bait is funny.
Yeah,
I think
he
we're gonna
goes.
watch that.
He goes, "You hungry, girl?" And that's the part I'm talking about. And
Yo,
I was
Watch
wrong.
it again. We Christians.
No,
I don't
we
think
gotta
so.
get. No.
I don't think so.
We just get past it. Cut out the scenes.
You can reminisce,
Bleep it
but
out.
yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know if
No.
I
No,
can
I
say
ain't gonna
my
lie.
answer.
I ain't trying to sound like I watch a lot of drug movies.
I don't know if I can say my answer.
Now go ahead. I'm
Go
about
ahead,
to.
we said it.
Yeah.
Well, I'm just gonna say the movie where they, the bigger brother drugged all of them.
Wait, huh?
He put a roofie in their drink.
Hangover.
Oh.
All right, next
It
question.
wasn't the bigger brother, but yeah.
Next question. That's the one that got me. I'm not gonna lie to you. That's the one that
It
got
was
me.
hilarious when I was in the world.
There's Skittles in there. That's just I can't help it, bro. That guy's crazy. Okay, have you ever licked a battery? It's a random questions, y'all.
Yes.
I think everybody.
I
Yeah.
have to. Yeah.
Which kind of battery? Like all batteries or just
Double A.
I never-
the best.
I never got
Double A
into
the best.
competition.
Double A.
AA? You talking about the 9-volt?
The D one?
The
Yeah,
square one? The
it's a
square
yeah.
one.
Oh,
That's the-
yeah.
that's
With
the
two-
9-volt.
with the-
Yo, hey,
Yeah.
you guys are too excited. You guys are too excited.
Wait,
do we
I
need
was-
to
you gotta
get?
relate to
Do we need to
understand.
have some batteries on the table for y'all when we come in?
You never had your brothers in y'all be like, yo, I dare you, like,
Nah,
You
but-
do?
Nah.
I had nobody did me.
I don't know. I don't know.
Too much excitement, yo.
You just did it on your own.
He was
Like,
bored.
see how this tastes.
Yeah, Bruce Almighty. That's a good one too. What is your guilty pleasure? You know, my guilty pleasure is every day at Chick-fil-A. You know what I'm saying? I know I need to stop. Y'all got to pray for me. Okay. Answer that question. Guilty pleasure. I mean, it ain't got to be Jair every time starting
Yeah,
off.
that's what I'm saying.
I'll go
you know,
first.
That's the order we've been going in.
It's them Publix cakes, the strawberry Publix cake. Boy, God better not never take that from us. Like
What time Publix closed, man?
10.
We still got time.
Yeah, right up.
I mean, we're talking like food. That's right. Well, guilty pleasure
Anything.
food.
Oh, anything.
I guess, yeah. I think about food.
Unless you smoke cigars, that could be it. But
Don't tell him yourself,
Hopefully you
brother
don't.
Jason.
I wouldn't call that a guilty pleasure.
Don't tell him yourself.
That's not a guilty pleasure. I don't feel guilty.
Cut the life now.
I mean, food wise, it's probably little peanut butter bars that Little Debbie makes. They're hard to find, and but man,
That's you too, ain't it?
Yeah, I'm surprised that married men wives didn't say nothing. That woman in y'all lives. Debbie messed up a lot of homes. She talking about.
She Big Deborah now.
I'm not talking about not the Nutter Butter bars. It's another peanut butter bar that is like chocolate and it's kind of got a crunchy cake on the outside and peanut butter on the inside.
Is it like long? Like it's long or?
Probably about that long. Yeah.
And it's two of them in it.
Two of them. Yeah.
What?
It's not the
No,
Nutter
that's
Butter.
not what- I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
I know what you're talking
I don't know who. I can't remember who carries them now, but I
think
about
it was a
12,
it was called
12
Fud
boxes
something.
at a time. Because that's
sheesh, that's
Oh no, he what?
that's crazy.
My guilty. Yo, I used to go to Kroger's and get the whole circle cake and eat it for dinner all throughout the day. No food. You know money.
Should tell you, I found them on Amazon. Bought like 6 boxes. Like I hid them, so nobody else would eat them.
Yeah.
Menthol cigarette.
Yo, that is
Menthol.
that is funny. That is funny.
I would say you stupid. I would say cooking cream ice cream. I probably buy. Sometimes I will buy 2 tubs.
Yeah, I should have known.
2 tubs
Tell 'em about the
of
way you
cooking
do
cream
it,
ice
bro.
cream.
Tell them about the way you do that, because I didn't even know until you showed
Are
me.
you talking about what I used to do?
I know y'all gonna be mad. Like, how do you know that? I didn't think about it. Tell them.
I know you ain't talking about- I get the ice cream.
Yeah.
I get the Hershey syrup that hardens into a shell and sprinkles.
He needs some milk.
It's a guilty pleasure.
That is.
I don't do it no more though, but
I do, bro. You messed me up.
Sounds pretty good.
I believe you, money.
You got saved or left me in sin over here.
That's awesome.
What's the biggest pet peeve? Your biggest pet peeve? Man, I don't even know, bro. I have so many. I just don't talk about it. My biggest pet peeve, I think, is my biggest pet peeve when you're giving someone a sign that you need to do something and you can't keep talking, and they don't care, and they're just like, "Yeah, let me tell you something else. I gotta," and you have to go. You know what I mean? I may even have to use the restroom, and I'm afraid to tell them, "Yo, I gotta use the I'm gonna be rude." That's the big pet peeve. Pay attention, guys, when somebody's like looking away, grabbing their keys and jingling.
Right.
They got something to do. Yeah, that's my pet peeve.
I guess I go next.
I just put it there because I'm done. But you don't have to go next.
Yeah, I already got mine in my head. I already know what mine is. It's when people talk to me when I'm asleep.
Oh,
It's like,
hold up, bro.
Oh, his wife.
No, I ain't just her.
It ain't just. How many people you sleeping with?
Oh, money.
Sure, I don't know where he cut from.
You said people in your sleep. I mean,
Nah, man. I used to live with roommates. Right?
well, you should have prefaced it with
Yeah,
that.
that
I missed
roommate.
Talk about Louis.
Cause when I'm sleeping,
Piss.
when it happens to me, I get drunk sleep. Like I talk like an alcoholic, and it's like,
Yo, money.
and then sometimes I wake up, my car going, and it's like, yo, I must have answered him while I was asleep. I'm like, don't talk to me while I'm asleep. Yeah, that's me.
I think mine is other drivers. Just
Oh yeah, yeah. That's
Period.
Jason's all right.
Oh yeah.
get off the road already.
All right, Mike. I know you got a few of them.
Don't do that. Don't do that.
Or
Right?
if you don't, then that means you are the pet peeve.
Right?
So
Nah, mine would be like when, like I'm trying to, like you eating or you cooking and they talking over the food and you know they spit. Like, yo, come on, man.
yeah,
Use your brain. Like, why? Like, so that's mine. That's my main one right there.
So you're not a
Yeah.
Golden Corral kind of guy.
Nah. I
feel
ain't
you on
paying
that
for
one.
it.
But you eat it, so
that's funny.
I ain't gonna lie. What I do would be real. I just move
Kia.
everything off the top, grab the bottom, and I'm
Kia.
yeah.
That's not even who I'm thinking about. I think y'all know who really in my head.
Let's keep going.
Oh my goodness, man.
Yeah. Okay. There's 3 more questions. Would you rather be a member of the Avengers or the Justice League?
Woo, easy.
I say Justice League because I'll fit in better with a lame lineup.
I don't like.
I'll be outstanding, you know.
I don't like DC, so obviously, Avengers.
Avengers. Even though I like Batman, but
Yeah, that's
I
it.
gotta go with Avengers. Just
Yeah, one character I like, Batman.
Batman's nice.
After Frank Castle,
That's
somebody.
That's the point.
Yo, that is funny.
Mike, do we need to? Do we
Nah,
need a Frank
I'm-
Castle? No, I was playing.
I'm
Yeah,
rocking.
that's-
No, I'm down with both. I rock my boy Punisher. Nah,
yeah,
I'm,
what? I mean, yeah, we would
it's
love to
hard,
be on
though.
either one, but
You
Nah, I'm
gotta
gonna go with Marvel though. I'm with Marvel.
Marvel.
Avengers all day.
all right, here's the catch: you ain't got no superpowers. Not just playing.
Agent Coulson.
Yeah, right.
Batman got a superpower brain, though. You gotta
He's
understand.
got a super wallet.
Superpower
He just-
detective
yeah.
skills.
Superpower money.
Right.
Okay.
That's a
Okay.
Oh,
superpower.
love that superpower money. Yeah,
See?
It's all. Things,
I'll take
right?
that over risking my life.
He funded everything in the Justice
You
League,
bugging.
he
Yeah.
ain't doing nothing without him.
Money
All
answers all
employees.
things, Nikia. It's a biblical superpower.
Yeah.
Batman is more Christian than any of them now. I'm so glad you said that. That's why I love Batman. He don't want to kill nobody.
See?
That's just like Jackie
yeah.
Chan. I don't want to hurt you.
I give him my vote. You still?
You just say, get out of here, man. No, I was playing. All right, number 9. Which movie do you think is the worst of all time? It's got to be a Steven Seagal movie, man. I don't know.
You wildin' money.
Nah,
I mean-
when I look back at them,
What?
All Steven Seagal movies are great.
Yeah, yo, I put them in the category Rocky, so I don't know.
All of them, or just some
the
of them?
worst movie I've
Some
ever
of 'em.
seen, it don't come straight to my head like that.
I have. I'm gonna go ahead. For me, I mean it immediately. Speed 2.
Oh,
I
you
can
just
see
made
why
me
you said
think
that.
of another one.
I can see why
Okay,
you
I
said
got one now. Glad you said it.
I just
Anybody else got one, or I'll go ahead.
Go ahead, because I can't think of nothing.
Matrix 4, bro. That was trash. I ain't gonna say it's the worst, but that's the one that's in my head right now. So I got to get y'all an answer.
Any Michael B. Jordan movie.
Wow.
What?
yeah, I have to agree with that.
But even Fruitville Station, I was like, that was
I didn't see that.
that's what he
Oh,
started.
Nick,
But
yeah.
then the Creed. Okay, I'll give it to you. Michael B. Jordan is not the best actor.
I have not liked him.
He's
cared
not
for
the
him
best
since
actor.
The
Let's
Wire.
just be real.
Oh yeah,
Like I respect his work ethic and all.
Yeah.
He can't sell me on the characters that he plays. That's my thing.
Yeah, I
you
think
know.
Mercy was the one that I really realized like he's just reading the lines. That's just how I feel too. I ain't gonna lie to you. But the worst movie, you capping. But okay, I got you.
Without No Remorse was the worst.
It was terrible.
Oh, I
Great-
thought she was speaking a
Great,
phrase.
great
and it was
book
a
though.
movie.
That's a fantastic book, but the movie was terrible.
Man, it might be Shark Boy and Lava Girl or something. That's the worst.
I say
though.
Lost Boys 2 is the worst. They messed that first. They messed it up. The first one's the
Mm.
best. Lost Boys 2.
You
was
talking about
garbage.
like the vampire?
Yeah, Lost Boys. The first one
Yeah.
was good. The second
Any
one when they
second
older,
Disney
nah, it was
Yeah,
garbage.
it was.
I don't know what it's called.
I mean, it lost its. I don't know what they did to that.
Yeah,
you know,
man.
I don't know, but
Y'all gotta help us in the comments, man. So some of the worst movies of all time.
I'm gonna say Titanic.
Whoa,
What?
Money. Yo, money.
I
Get
can feel
out.
you on that.
That's a snuff.
Really?
Whoa.
Nothing. All the men died.
What is
You
it?
gotta give up that movie.
They got this. What?
You know, I mean,
That's
you know, they just did a thing where because everybody used to say, well, she could have let him on that raft, right? And they just tested that, and they were like, well, no, they both would have sank, kind of thing. And I was like, well, whatever, you know,
Yeah.
like
Oh,
it would have been nice, you know.
Yeah, right.
We look up some movies.
Now,
on
I will
Steam.
say, best worst movie ever is called Children at Play.
That sound like it's up my alleyway. Yeah.
It sort of is.
Okay.
We saw it on I think Mystery Science 3000. Hilarious.
Okay, I gotta check that out.
The final scene in that is just top notch. I don't want to spoil it for everybody. It's worth a watch.
Some of those terrible movies
It's
are
the
like
best.
good to watch because they're so funny. It's like I can't believe that. No way they did that.
You'd
It's
appreciate
cringe.
it. Mike.
That's
you would.
but
name
I
of it
wouldn't
already
give it a
like
high
check it out.
rating. Like I know, like no. Like what was it? The movie with Beyonce. The
All of
Lion
them?
King is the worst movie to me. That's my answer. Yep. That
The
one.
live-
is
the live
so
action
terrible.
or the
yeah,
newer-
live action. I hated
or
it.
whatever it is.
It just ruined that.
Oh yeah. Somebody said Tyler Perry. Why did I get married? I don't like that movie.
Somebody in the comments they said all time.
Yeah, I have to agree. Again, it's kind of like with my I respect their work ethic. I respect where he came from and what he's but I can't.
Yeah.
It doesn't do it for
I ain't
me.
gonna lie, I don't know. I got sucked into it at first, bro, and I was,
Yeah.
I had some laughs myself. I ain't gonna lie.
The plays
But
were
the
like
more I
huge.
look at it,
remember,
I
I think
like,
the plays
watched
is the
him come
best
up.
pertaining to
The plays
him.
were the best.
Yeah, way better.
Yeah.
I
But
just
the movies made me me laughing at. Think about it now, I kind of regret it.
Yeah.
like
It
I
was
think
a
I
fake
like
laugh.
I think I like the Medea character. I think
Yeah.
that's funny, but as a whole, it's hard. Like I've
Yeah.
tried, and I just like, man, it's just I can't do it.
I ain't gonna lie. I ain't gonna lie. The uncle or what's the
Mr. Brown.
Nah, not him. Medea brother or
Charles, or what's his name?
he's
in
the,
the movies.
he lived with Medea.
Charles.
He's an old man.
She plays it.
He plays him.
character.
Oh, okay.
I
You remember
thought
when the kids was at the house? They
What's-
ran away, or
what's the guy's
he
name,
was talking to
y'all?
them. That was hilarious.
Yeah, Medea's brother. What's his name?
I'll show you one day. That was hilarious.
What was that? Yeah, what's his name? Is it Charles? I don't know why I keep thinking it's Charles.
I can kind of see the character.
Yeah,
but I don't know his name.
Mr. Brown is the funniest person
I just
in
gotta
the
show
whole
y'all the clip.
set.
Yeah, that's funny.
He's funnier than Tyler Perry. He's funnier than everybody.
Brown?
Mr. Brown.
I know
You ever
who's
see
funnier
his
than
stand-up
both of them.
comedy?
Charlie
Oh.
Murphy. Charlie Murphy
Man.
is funny.
Oh yeah, Charlie Murphy.
Yeah.
He could.
Watching
What?
Hollywood stories is just.
That's way better than any Tyler Perry movie.
Man,
Paper Soldiers.
that's somebody I missed too, boy.
Yeah, nah,
Yeah,
yeah.
one more question.
He's entertaining.
Would you rather have a Texan accent and move and live in New Jersey, or have a New Jersey accent and live in Texas?
New Jersey accent and live in Texas.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, that's probably the safest option, huh?
Yeah.
I feel like the Texas accent in Jersey would get you killed.
You stand out.
Nah,
Stand
Yeah.
out.
Hey, brother.
Because when I went up there, I didn't feel like I had a really strong accent, and they picked up on it like that. And I was like, man, I didn't really feel like I was that Southern, but apparently, So yeah, definitely go to Texas. I mean, you might get hurt down there too.
Yeah.
I don't know, but
Right, bro. Y'all think about that?
I just say you got a better chance though, a better fighting chance.
you got more room to run.
Yeah, I was
down
about
in
to say
Texas,
yeah,
at
well,
least.
big. Go all the way to the other side. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? So yeah,
Probably some safer areas in Texas.
Mhm.
yeah.
Okay, let's get back to the
Those are fun.
spicy stuff. Now, how do Christians come together and talk about politics, right? Like certain policies they put in place. I mean, I guess it don't matter to y'all because we don't talk about, y'all don't vote. I don't really. Sometimes I vote. Depends on how I felt. Did I get enough sleep last night before I'm going to the voting booth? You know what I'm saying? Things like, would I rather eat or go to the voting booth this morning? You know what I'm saying? That's what I think about. But yeah,
How
so
hungry am I? Yeah.
Right.
like bringing up conversation, like I'll give you an example of what I mean. Like what I do, just to like even at work or with people that I want to talk to about it. Like I don't just bring it up like, don't you just love Trump? Like I don't want to say that. I want to say, did you see any? Do you know who Candace Owens is? I'll ask questions like that, and they'd be like, "Oh, I hate Candace, so I can't stand." Then I know like how far I can go with the conversation. You know what I'm saying? I just ask little questions like, like that, and I feel like if they're so outspoken, then they're probably not willing to really discuss the topic. So, what y'all think about that? Like, how do you even talk about it? Or are you just like
Like
it's
are we
not
in, like
really a way?
in a church setting, Christian setting, kind of social setting?
Yeah,
kind of
because
thing?
we came to talk about the subject, and I feel like that's, I was talking to Nikki about something, just something. It was just like, I don't know what you think about it. Or maybe she brought it up to me. And then we started seeing like where we found common ground as far as certain I mean, this isn't even really a political thing either. Like so many other topics that you may just view a different way that are just harsh topics to talk about. Like, how do you bring those up? And my thing is to start with like a lighter kind of gauge where you are with this lighter concept. And then when you kind of show me that you're able to have a conversation, then I'm like, okay, cool. I've gauged you. Now I can bring up some other topics and see where you are. Like, you ever had like a conversation like, oh man, I definitely can't talk to you. Like right off rip, you're disagreeable. You're not willing to have this type of conversation. Like, how do you enter that with somebody to get past disagreements, to reason?
Are you talking about a Christian person? Or
I just say in general. I mean, you could take it political, but
you talking about talking to people about politics in general?
politics, yeah,
Or just difficult
harsh
topics.
topics, really.
Yeah, I just gauge how much of an investment they have, because like when people have strong beliefs on who they support, it's like I kind of don't want to get into that, because like I believe, to me, politics is religion too. So it's like now we discussing religion about like, topic I don't know. It just it gets to worship and stuff like that. Kind of like, it depends on who I'm speaking to. Really, is some people have, when you see like they don't know where they want to where they want to land, then I probably have an easy time discussing their points and views. Like, okay, where do you lean? Do you agree with this? Do you agree with that? Like abortion topics, stuff like that. But if somebody come out the gate with strong opinions, it's like, oh, I know where this is going. There's no point of doing this.
Yeah, cause see, that's why I say, like, when I say political issues, like some of that stuff, like that so-called political, is really biblical. They're really biblical things that really need to be discussed. Like ministering to people about that. Like, what is the best way to go about that stuff? Because it leans into the political spectrum, but but a lot of these things are things that we need to talk about, whether you vote or not.
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, I've having done what I've had to do over the years. I mean, like I said, I've been in people's houses for thousands of people's houses, just like this, and so, and it's kind of what you're saying. Like you almost can look around and where somebody stands by the books on the bookshelf and things like that, and then their tone a lot of times will tell you. And then, the thing I always looked for is what they're watching on TV. I can't tell me people you knew if they had Fox, conservative, CNN, they were left. So you knew kind of what Ashley was saying, how far to take your in that setting, right? Because I was there to do a particular job, so I'm not trying to get on a soapbox and preach to them, because you have a limited scope of time there. But what I would do was, you start with what do you do for a living, and just ease into it, like you're saying, and then you'll find like little topics you can kind of run with was very good. And then I learned I could kind of control the conversation, and I would a little bit here, and I would navigate my way to a certain topic and see where they stood on something. And then, so that sounds very manipulative, but I learned.
I'll call that wise.
Yeah, me too.
If you use it properly, I guess, but I did as a learning, I wanted to learn from them and say, okay, well, give me what's your life experience, basically, just in this little small scope.
It gets you understanding that, like, you get to understand their worldview.
Right. Even if they didn't agree with me, I knew, but I understood their humanity, right? I would be in people's houses for hours just talking, because they were just great to talk to, And I remember a gay couple, right? And one was hardly ever there, but he was nice, but was more caustic in his delivery, very dry and sarcastic. But the other one was really friendly. I mean, we'd sit there 2 hours talking, just about life, just things, and I can appreciate that, and you can learn from that. Like, okay, because what happens, you brought up a point I think last week, Ashley, about it's easy to talk about somebody that's not in our lives. It's easy to be harsh on them, but if we know them and we've got a personality, we're a little more forgiving. And I think when we don't, on social media, again, we don't have that luxury. There, it's a face. It's almost borderline anonymous, and so we can be very vicious and go, all gays are this way, all transgenders are this way, all Christians are this way, and it's simply not true, and it's easy to be overly harsh when we don't need to be, and realize that there's humans out here. They bleed like we do, they hurt like we do. They may not in the end make it with us, but that don't mean they deserve to be treated like lowlifes and trash. And there's a lot of weird stuff out there, but at the end, they all deserve a chance. You know what I mean? They all deserve a chance, and if we're the only window, I think we owe it to them to at least hear them. And so maybe I went to go off on a tangent there, but
me, a lot of times, I'm more the type, I get straight to the point, because a lot of times things can fall into this place, this gray area. It's like a loophole, and stuff become vanity. So I get straight to the point. At first, you don't go and talk and you hear them out, you know what I mean? And I find out, like, why are you bringing it to me? What's the point? You trying to get my perspective on it, cause my position, what? And once I figure that out, then I kind of get to the point.
Mm-hmm.
And when I get to the point, I'm not harsh in this, being aggressive. I'm more with my words. Like, let me give you an example. You bring up politics, I bring up how many kids you got. And then from there, I'll go into, kids go to hell. You bring yourself to me. I kind of play a certain way.
Mm-hmm.
And in the process of that, I kind of figure out and can wing them my way. Because one thing I come to realize, that if I come to you, if I come to you for something, I'm giving you the platform to teach me. Versus me trying to teach you, because you know the saying of we both talk, we can't learn. But if you let somebody talk, so once they bring it to me, once they bring it to me and stuff, you gave me the floor, and I kind of nip stuff in the bud by being a little aggressive, speak on things that can get touchy, can be harsh, so we can wing out stuff. So that's kind of how I move. I want to get to whatever's more important versus unnecessary.
You just navigate away from the politic topic. It's like,
Yeah.
let me get straight to the biblical one.
Yeah, because like Keaton just said, it's all extend from there. Like you said, it's religion.
So they come and they're like, well, so can you work on my car? And then you're like, have you received Jesus?
Oh yeah.
Have you been baptized in Jesus' name? Have you repented?
All jokes. I take advantage of it.
So is that? I mean, on kind of in that same vein. I mean, so is every conversation that you have with people that aren't in church, do you always try and steer them towards the plan of salvation? Even if, like, say you're at the mechanic, right?
Yeah.
Having your car worked on, and you're just talking. I mean, do you try to still steer it in that direction and say, hey, come to church at the very least? Hey, come to church, kind of thing. Because you guys have brought a ton of people to church over the years. So I mean, is it always that way? I mean, or is it just when you I say feel it?
Yeah, I get you.
It may not be that kind of how he was saying somebody's taking a hard stance on something. You're like, well, let me not cast my pearl before swine, kind of thing.
With the politic topic, yeah, at least with that topic. But I think when it comes to steering them towards Jesus, it's easier in the work setting because you get to learn about the people. You get to know them and just. A lot of people like talking about themselves, so they just talk about their own life to you. It happened to me today, so it's like, and then you start throwing nuggets in about God and stuff like that, or you can ask them. I usually ask them a question about God, and then sometimes we have that debate for days until it's like, yo, just come to church. You break.
So I mean, but in that sense, so them coming to church, what is it? What are you hoping for them? So like, you've had this conversation with them, and you want them to come to church for what reason? Versus just continuing the conversation.
To me, honestly, is to know to see God move, like, or just to know God, or just experience God. I tried, because salvation talk is going to happen.
Yeah.
If I'm talking to anybody about God,
it's going to
salvation is guaranteed a topic. So it's like getting church is the first. It's the first step of you making a step towards God. That's how I see getting them into church. It's like making that initial step to like stepping towards salvation. And then I still go to work with him, so it's like I can continue to talk to him after that.
Yeah, it's like basically one of my goals is, because a lot of times, like you said, when we talk to people, they can feel something. They say it's something that I don't know, and there go. That's the opportunity. I be like, I use that. You can feel this. It's some stuff. I kind of tell people all the time, if you just let me guide you to this, I promise you, your life will change. And that's kind of what I build on when it comes to the, people. Because like you said, salvation going to pop up, because I make it real clear. Like, I ain't, be honest with you, no offense, but I ain't really don't care about what we talking about. You know what I mean? So it's like most time when people come, it's either to try you or they get something out of you. And then it's like, oh, bet, say less. Let me use the word, you know what I mean? Do my thing.
I know Mike noticed. It's like when you start talking about God, they going to come to you and ask you more questions about God. And it's like that topic, they going to forget about all the other topics, and that's going to be the main discussion.
Now we got something legit to talk about that have value to benefit us.
I had a question for you. Do you think a person can go to... Do you think a person can go to heaven who has never witnessed?
You wanna go?
Divine witness. Divine.
Yeah, I got like
just so we're clear on it.
yeah.
Witness, you know, the plan of salvation, try to get somebody saved.
I mean, I don't think you necessarily have to. 'Cause say somebody gets saved, and then they just died like the next week. It's like God took them out, saved them, took them out. They ain't had to witness to nobody. So I mean, if we go in, I'm just giving that example as an extreme. But if you didn't, I mean, we get judged by the works we do on earth. So it's not. I don't think it's necessarily a salvation thing. It's more of a like a what have you done while you've been here? And it's like, but if you don't have a desire to do anything, I mean, witnessing and you still working in the kingdom is like you still putting work towards the kingdom. It's like you still ministering to people, even though you minister to your own people. But I don't think it's. I mean, I could be wrong.
I agree with you.
I could be wrong.
I agree with you. Reason why I say that, and yeah, we could be wrong, but I agree. Reason why, because from my understanding to the word, everybody have a certain measure of faith and stuff. And then too, when you get to heaven, there's levels to it. It's like hell. It's levels. So when you get to heaven,
I hope it's not like hell.
no, I mean, I'm saying it's like hell in a sense where it's levels. It's not just one. You know what I mean? I know you're joking, but it's levels.
Like an onion and layers.
But so I would say, yeah, in the case like somebody just got saved with God and they die, it just they won't be in I mean, I ain't gonna say they won't be because I ain't God. It's just they'd be in a certain part.
Yeah, they have more stars in their crown.
Yeah, the crowns. You feel me? So yeah.
So what about when the scripture says, you know, whether in season or out of season? Because that means that really what that means is as you have the opportunity. So is that not obeying scripture if we then, like we're talking about these conversations, right? You know, and here we have the opportunity to tell somebody at the very minimum, come to church and, you know, well, you got to be baptized, right?
Yeah.
I mean, is that not a commandment or is that just, like, I understand what you're saying with your example. That makes sense to me. And that covers a lot of areas too, to me. But in this instance, you know, are we not obligated in, is it only, I guess let me expand on that. Is it just speaking it or is it like you're saying ministering? Because there's different ways to bring somebody to church. It could be, hey, here's $20, let me feed you. And that might be enough. You know, that might be enough to bring them to church. And then you were then a vessel to bring them in. I mean, is that not what we're obligated to?
It sound like one man water, one man planted, another man water. I get the increase. That's what that sound like to me. But what I was about to say. Well, you can go ahead.
Can you say the question again?
I said, do you believe a person who never witnesses, there has never been a witness, and I was thinking verbally, but that
like minister
also,
or what? Like
is a
showing
witness,
leadership and
witnessing, trying to get somebody to come to church or trying to give somebody a plan of salvation, like a verbal witness, not I bought you dinner. I'm saying like a clear cut. I tried to get you to invited you to church, or I gave you the plan of salvation. If they have never done either of those two things, can they make it to heaven?
I would say a lot of this is to deal with the heart, because God looks on the heart. So if there was a moment where you could have witnessed and you had the perfect opportunity just to say a word, and God put it in your spirit, you knew exactly what to say, and you said, I don't feel like it. I think God could look at that as a big problem. I would say God would look at that as a problem because the Bible does say, and I'm sure it has a deeper context to it than what I'm saying, but him to know, he that knows to do good and does not, to him it is a sin. And I would put that in that same category. As far as like being lazy, that's also a sin. But I would also say there are many different ways that we can minister to people. So you may not say, hey, here's the plan of salvation. You may say, hey, we're going to eat, you know, do you want to join us? You know what I'm saying?
No, we're not counting.
But I do count that though. For my, like, as far as my answer goes, I would count that as witnessing. So that's why I would say, the reason I'm bringing it up is because I would say, no, I don't think you have to witness in that way. So no. It's more than just a yes or no to me. I would say if I had to lean on an option, I would say you're not gonna make it if you don't witness any time of your life.
We're not counting. You gave out 30 dinner.
Yeah. That is
because he said feed your enemies, so it's like if you don't do that, that is a problem too.
I say rebuking them is better than choose my word. rebuking them. I say coming more aggressive because everybody throw up resist. Everybody gonna resist, but I come to realize for me that it's more to be more firm in rebuking those things in a manner of with wisdom. You know what I'm saying? Not just reckless and ignorant. So I get what you're saying, but
You know what I'm saying?
I kind of lost where I was going with it, but yeah.
Wait,
just went. I
were
was
you
going
talking
somewhere.
about?
Yeah,
You talking about? You talking about referring to me?
What
You talking about referring to me? What I said?
Yeah, what you were saying.
I just
It's something
gave
I'm about
some
to say.
examples, to talk about her question. I mean, as far as what's the best method to minister to somebody, I didn't really touch on that as much. But
Well,
I mean,
that's what
I
you
would
were
say,
saying,
I
right?
would say, know those that labor among you. You know, she said,
Oh,
"Is
I
it?"
thought you-
I'm saying, she's saying a yes or a no, witnessing or not witnessing. Is that you gonna make it in heaven
I
or?
think it depends on the circle, like what you were saying concerning if you know to do good and you don't do it, then it's a sin unto you. I say that does apply because I mean, if you sin in this, wage of sin is death. So like, but do y'all consider living as an example witnessing too, as your life? Do your life consider as a witness to God? I mean, to man.
Yeah.
But that wasn't the question.
That's why I had her.
Yeah, I'm about to say that was
kind
that.
of.
It was like you had to verbally invite someone to church or give them the plan of salvation.
I would say yeah.
Things are not included for this question.
Yeah, that's why
in that definition. Yeah.
I would say yeah. If you don't do neither, you ain't gonna make it. You don't have no work behind you. It's not based off of what you said. You didn't invite them for them to be in a position to receive God. You didn't give them the plan of salvation. Honestly, what's the word of God without the plan of salvation? It's all it is what a good moral book, a book to teach you how to be good. That don't get you to heaven. Only people getting to heaven is holy and righteous, and then those people gonna have work behind them. So I would say, according to based on what you said, without going all deep, no, you won't make it if you don't do neither. Yeah.
I want to.
I don't know.
Yeah, I got to go with what he was
Back to the
saying on
first
that
thing I said
verse.
was like somebody get baptized and get the Holy Ghost and just die right after that.
Yeah, that's what I'm.
Yeah.
I get. No, I get.
I wanted to add on to it. I wanted to.
Right.
I wanted to add on to it though. I wanted to add on
Yeah,
to it though.
but she said don't. She said just based off of what she said. I'm going off of what out of those two options, or based off what she said. That's why I'm saying that. What you said, I agree with you because some people do get it like the guy and die right then and there. So I agree. She just said based off of what she said. That's what I'm getting.
I'm just giving
Yeah.
I would.
technical answer.
I would add on to it. I would add on to it and say, no, we don't all have to be salesmen for salvation, but to look for a loophole, look for a way out of it. That's where the sin is. Like you should study to show thyself approved. If you're not studying, that's the first sin. And if you're not making leaders, that God is telling you to do this, and you're not speaking on these things, that so yeah, we don't have to. Everybody doesn't have to go door to door, and that's not a requirement biblically, but it is a requirement to use your mouthpiece. That's a requirement.
It's
You may
evidence
untighten the top, and then somebody else may
of your heart
say the
posture.
salvation part.
because it's evidence of your heart posture. There's no way you can love God and serve God and just not tell nobody.
Yeah, that don't make sense.
Yeah.
I mean, I personally may not, give somebody Acts 2:38 and the plan of salvation, but I'm gonna talk to them about God. I'm gonna invite them.
I believe that because like once you get into God and you experience the goodness of God, you want to share it.
Yeah.
So if you're not sharing it at all, it's like, do you have God? Are you experiencing God in your life, or do you have a burden for souls? If you don't, that sounds like you're going towards not the right direction.
Nah, I feel you.
So, guys, it's getting late. I gotta eat some food before I get hangry. You know what I mean? But yeah, I think it was a good discussion. We're just gonna have everybody give their final thoughts, and then we're going to wrap it up, guys. Remember, like the video. It's the best way to get the algorithm, get the video out there, and also subscribe if you're feeling it. All right, I guess we'll start with Jason. I didn't mean to skip you, brother, but I don't know. I always go to you first, so I was like, let me just switch it up. So go to Jason, go to Mike, Jair, and then I'm gonna end it off, guys.
Yeah, I mean, I think it was I enjoyed it. Appreciate the invite once again, I don't think it was as controversial as last week, but I mean, I think hopefully, you know, my whole thing with any of this kind of stuff is that at least opens up your mind, first of all, to have like, okay, well, it's not just my point of view. I can be open to other. I don't have to agree with them, but I can be open to them. And then, because one of the problems I feel like we have in society is we close down to discussion. You know, we're afraid to have discussions, and you know, because somebody might get offended or somebody might not see my point of view, and I think that's we lose out on that. You know, because you know, last week we talked about, you know, another pastor. You know, this pastor. You know, we can all still have our same points of view, but at least be open to it. And then when it comes to politics, you know, I think it's easy to shy away and say, well, I'm not going to participate, and then kind of ignore the effects of it. You know, like it's going to affect you no matter what, but you can't get out of it. It's at your job, whether it's local, national, you're going to have to play some political role, even in your own family. You know, it's and I think it's our role to recognize it and go, okay, I'm in, because as you get older, especially as young men, more and more weight gets put on you. And so, because you, at some point, you guys are going to be elders, and you're going to understand that,
Whoa. Y'all right. Hey, money right there.
No, chill. Keep
You got that big 3-0.
You're gonna recognize that, wait a minute, if I had done this back here, it would have made a difference, you know. And that's why I think politics is probably, cause when I was y'all's age, forget politics, promise you. And it's only been probably in the last few years that I've kind of been like, well, maybe there's a little more to this than what I first thought, and because I've seen the effects of it. You know, I've lived long enough to go, man, if I had done this, this wouldn't have been so bad. And you know, and the changes that we can make, and really appreciate the power of God, because we sometimes think we could kick back and go, that's not me. But when you put your hands to something and God's in it, it's exponential every time in anything we do. And I think the recognition of that is powerful when you come to that revelation that, like, you know, we're in the middle of trying to build a church, but if some of y'all were in power, we had already had this church built. Because you know why? Because we got to go through rules and regulations that, I mean, right or wrong, y'all could have gave us an exemption and said, hey, y'all don't even need money to build a church. They do it. I mean, and I'm joking with that, but I'm just saying that that happens all the time. Right. You know, here's a grant. There's nonprofit organizations out here that get it. Pretty famous one, pretty popular in the last few years, that ain't done nothing with that money. You know, and so here we are with a. They already been exposed. So, well, that'd be another topic. You know, we're trying to get out of here, but you know what I'm saying. So there are effects, I think, that to say that to say that we can, you know, we can back away from the platform. You know, I think sometimes we can use an excuse to say, I don't feel like it. We just this conversation about witnessing, I think, you know, is a pretty good example, because we could kick back and say, I'm not going to comment on this, when sometimes you should speak up. And that's my kind of viewpoint on the politics thing. You know, vote or no vote, you have a voice. Not voting is a voice as well. So, but I definitely appreciate the conversation. You know, we had a good time, I think, and you know, hopefully everybody wasn't looking for another heated debate, but I mean, we can do that. But you know, I enjoy that too, and I'm always willing to take a contrary point of view personally. But
let's turn the fire up. I'm down.
But I appreciate y'all's, you know, perspectives and point of view, and you know, it's been fun. So hopefully it wasn't boring to everybody. Yeah.
Right. All right, brother Michael Benson, son of Ben.
Now, you know, I'll say, you know, respect that God gave us free will. I respect anybody's decision on whatever they want to do. I would just say, if you're a Christian, I would advise like to avoid that in a sense, and let God be the voice for us. So that's really where I stand when it comes to politics. There's too much division because there's so many different opinions, and you know, for the most part, it never worked. So yeah, that's where I'm at with it.
Well, this is my first time on the podcast. I did enjoy it. It was really fun. The topic on politics is, it's an interesting topic. It's not much discussed, especially in church. And I like, the fact that y'all opened up a platform for it to be discussed. And even if you have your views concerning not voting, period, I still like the fact that it's being discussed on why. And we can, we can talk and reason with one another and see each other's opinions and figure out, I guess what's the best approach and know them that labor among you. So it's like, but that's my opinion. I enjoyed it.
It's not your opinion because Jair is not a liar. He speak the truth. So, let me see. Put this mic in the right place. Yeah. Whether you're okay. Yeah.
Where's those yeah.
Kind of crazy. Okay, we're gonna end it out like this, guys. So whether you're left or right, sides are very dangerous. Choosing a side, okay,
Might want to check that out.
Right.
choosing a side, choosing a box to put yourself in. Republican, Democrat, those are boxes, So I have my views on each group, but the extreme is the problem for me in any position. Would I take one extreme over the other? Yeah. But the extreme position is a problem for me. I want to be at a balanced position that makes sense so I can do what I feel is best. What is the best decision is what I'm looking for. I'm not looking for, is Trump going to be the guy I run with? I'm looking for, is he going to get me to the place that I want to be in my life? If it's Biden, is he going to get me to the place that I'm going to be? Or am I going to say Biden when he leave? I don't know. But my point is, if you vote or not, you should always be looking for ways to do your part. And if you believe that voting is a part of that, and I can understand, because I was really doubting voting after this last election because of there's just a lot of things that didn't make sense to me. But it and I started to worry. I said, man, maybe the system is set up to where, voting doesn't make a difference. I don't know, because I'm learning things. But if you do vote, don't let anyone tell you that, Jair and Mike are wrong. No, just like, no, don't let anyone tell you that you have a problem because you're seeking out the best way you can. So don't feel the pressure if someone tells you, hey, you should vote, hear them out, but don't look at that, that tone or that as a voice of authority. Like, we're coming together to reason. If someone comes in your life and they don't want to reason with you and they want to force you to which box makes the most sense, which side makes the most sense, that is a clear indication, like Jair said, that's probably a person that's not willing to have a real discussion. There are people I agree with, but because they force it down other people's throats, I can't even, have a solid discussion with them. And I agree with a lot of the things, but I agree with the box that I'm in, the Pentecostal apostolic box. But am I limited to just that box? No, I could never do that. But yeah, I think it was a good conversation. Guys, also like the video, subscribe. Let's take this channel as far as we can take it so we can keep opening up discussions. Anything that you want to talk about, what you think we should cover, put it in the comment section. Hit me up on Instagram. You can go back to the main camera angle. Yeah, hit it up on Instagram. You see it right there. If you want to join, we're around the Atlanta area. I'm not gonna tell you where, but we're around the Atlanta area, Georgia. So you can hit us up, and we out of here. Let's go.